Oh, wait, they can see us already? Okay. Hello.
That was the most Kyliest start we possibly could have had.
I'm sorry, I'm new to this.
Welcome, everybody, to the RISE Twitch channel here on twitch.tv, Twitch apps on devices worldwide.
Is it worldwide? Oh, gosh.
Like, people in Kuala Lumpur are surely watching this right now. How amazing is that?
Countries I can't even pronounce. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to drink this, not sponsoring us in any way, beverage.
Product placement.
What could be in that green soda can?
Maybe they'll end up sponsoring you and you'll get free Diet Mountain Dew sent to you.
And monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Right.
Speaking of monkeys, I'm going to close the door so the cats don't keep doing run-ins. Talk to your people, your adoring bosses.
My people, hello. I'm sorry. I don't even know if anybody's watching this, but
A bunch of people are.
that's fine. I am happy to be here as always. We're gonna try to not be awkward, but it comes out. I'm sorry. I get nervous.
We're not going to be awkward. There's an oven mitt on my computer. No one knows why, but we're not going to be awkward.
Safety first. Oh gosh. Okay, so
Should we say hey to the folks? There's a lot of folks here. Look at this. I see a buddy to all of the Chicago wrestling scene. I see Tyler in there.
Yes.
Sup, dude?
Tyler, hello. How are you?
I see Martin all the way from the UK. We've got at least one international
Martin
viewer.
from the UK.
That's
Oh,
the
gosh.
MIB there. That's Martin.
Are you gonna make me cry already? Hello.
We trigger each other. It's what we do.
It's okay to be awkward. Oh, thank you for that. Make me feel comfortable. That's perfect.
It's the dynamic of our friendship, really. We just trigger each other.
Oh,
Like,
somebody said
cries
call
less.
Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you for
yeah.
noticing. It's fine.
Cheers.
Oh wait, I have my gallon. So cheers the Mountain Dew. Cheers.
No, not the mountain. The non-denominational.
Oh, the
or the
right.
unnamed soda. Non-denominational soda. Yes, this is a.
pop. We
this
say
is
pop.
a-
Oh my gosh, I have sweat stains already. That's how nervous I am.
Yeah, we're not going to be awkward. Though.
Yeah.
We are
It's
not going to
fine.
be awkward. That's why I put a hoodie on. I was like, you and I are going to be pitted out within like 90 seconds of this. We're already at pitted out, not going to be awkward. Here we go, folks. Welcome to the Rise of Kylie Rae. Yet another pun with the word rise in it. An endless supply.
So punny, AA.
Who?
No, I'm just kidding.
Is that legal?
It's a pun.
Can we do
Oh,
that?
sorry. Get the hand sanitizer. Wait, we
Oh.
shouldn't actually be joking about
No,
this.
we're
That's
not trying to
serious
make light of
times.
anything. And here's what I'm going to say. We're going to make some ground rules for today. One ground rule I would like to put out there is let's make this an escape from everything that's going on in the world
Please.
rather than talking about everything that's going on in the world. If you want to drown in that, which honestly we've been constantly too, just like you guys, we're all in the same boat of the world right now. We're all in this together. But let's make this Twitch stream talking about the rise of Kylie Rae, pro wrestling, and things that make us smiley.
Yes, positivity. It's just it's
So that's
fine.
gr-
Sorry.
So that's ground rule number one. What you want to make any ground rules for this before we get going?
Ground rules. I don't know. Let's just be positive and bring up happy stuff. This is my first interview, like especially live interview, in oh my gosh, like a year? No, months. Say 3/4
Yeah.
of a year. It's been a while, so bear with me. It's gonna be cringeworthy at times, but let's just. I think I said on Twitter, don't be weird. And I said, it's okay to be weird, but be like the good kind of weird. Don't be like the bad
Yes.
kind of weird.
Yes.
So let's just keep it up.
That's right. You did make the first ground rule. Let's not be weird. Let's be respectful. Let's be kind. Let's be courteous. It's Kylie Rae. How can you be mean when Kylie Rae is involved? She is such a pure soul that even just this week, there were some like GIF clips that came up from one of the last freelance shows where be there or be square, but it's okay if you're square.
Yeah, no judgment here. It's cool.
you
You're
ju-
square.
You just shared a story like this week about your first wrestling show with your mom that you made her like throw away a sign. Tell that there's money in that story. Tell that. story.
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, okay, so it was I was in middle school and my mom took me to Monday Night Raw, which was sold out. So we get in the parking lot and I saw it was sold out, and I just immediately started crying for some reason because I was just happy. Like, we didn't even make it in yet. We literally just parked and I was just like crying. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm just so happy."
Were you just happy to be there?
I really was. Like, I was just overcome with like joy and excitement, and we got in, and my mom held up. Okay, so Evolution, they were the bad guys, right? Or heels, however, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't want to give away. Damn it.
This is inside. I mean, we're doing analysis about like behind the scenes story of wrestling. I think you can say
heels.
spot.
Okay, yeah, right. Exactly.
Might give Jim Cornette a heart attack.
I still like saying bad guys though, because it's like. Okay, so they were the bad guys. So, my mom had a sign that said "Evolution Hater," and it had like an arrow pointing down to her. She was like holding it up, and like Triple H was looking. Well, what I thought was right at her, of course, because that's the fan of us. I was like, "No, he's looking right at you." I was like, "You need to take that down." I was like, "That's really mean," and they're gonna like kind of feel bad about themselves. So please just take it. We're just gonna take down this sign and no hate. We're just gonna root who we root for, and yeah. And I'm pretty sure she was just like, "Wow, my daughter's a complete." She doesn't curse, but she's a complete weirdo, so it's fine.
That was the moment that I think she knew she had somehow raised the purest soul to ever walk the face of the earth. Like, Mom, don't hold up that sign. The man who probably hit someone earlier today in the face with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Or that man who last year drove a semi-truck, or no, that was Hulk Hogan who drove the truck into the Rock. But anyway, Triple H ain't exactly a saint, even in the grand storylines of professional wrestling is what we're talking about here. I'm not throwing rocks at people. This is a positive environment.
Yeah, right.
The character of Triple H, not the human being Paul Levesque. Oh, we're totally inside baseball now. But like,
maybe he had a bad day. We all have bad days. That's the way. You catch me when I'm hungry, and all heck breaks loose. So I'm gonna try not to curse, but it's probably not gonna happen.
Speaking of hungry, how many meals are you up to since we started this stream?
I know I have. I'm sorry. I'll just show it. I have my asparagus, a bag of asparagus that I eat. I shoveled like 6 ounces of ground beef down my gullet like 5 minutes before we started. So yeah, that's where we're at now. But I'm at my second meal of the day. So, but the city's on lockdown, so we'll see how many more meals I get in at this point.
I'm glad I stocked up on pizza rolls, and by stocked up I mean I already had many pizza rolls on.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so guys, here's what we're gonna do.
Are you reading these?
We kind of come and go here because it's also because my habit is like I'm gonna look into the camera or through the camera. So here's while Kylie's catching up on some of the comments or questions that may already be there in the chat room. Here's how things are going to kind of work. We've actually queued up 4 of Kylie Rae's Rise matches. We may do a 5th. If you guys want, you'll have to deal with us fumbling the text. I'll have to drop it into this already made template. But we have queued up, in this order, Kylie Rae versus Deonna Purrazzo, number 1 from Rise 6. Then to bookend that, we kind of bring things full circle. We've got Kylie Deonna 2 from an episode of Rise Ascent, known as Farewell Virtuosa.
Yes.
The farewell of Deonna Purrazzo in Rise.
Amazing, by the way. She's so... I'm sorry, I'm super fangirl of Deonna. She's great.
Me too.
Right? Wrestling and human being-wise. Let's just say that.
Then we are going to go into Kylie Rae versus Mercedes Martinez no rope submission only match for the Phoenix of Rise Championship. And then La Escalera al Campeonato, Kylie Rae versus, and I've got to keep my brain straight, Priscilla Kelly, Rays, Jake Atlas, Jesus Bryce, and Hayan.
Yes.
I did it. There's 6
Oh my
plus
gosh.
Kylie. And there's a lot of stories in there. I mean, 2 of those were like matches that may or may not have ever really existed in, well, I guess people have done no rope submission matches, but you'd never done one, and then I don't know if anyone's done the exact rules of La Escalera al Campeonato, but well, we kind of made it up as we went along. Yeah, me too.
It was a wild night. Let's just say that.
Speaking with no, maybe we should say this till we're on La Escalera, but screw it. Screw the format. There is no format.
Winging this, as you can clearly tell.
The show was originally named like La Escalera. Figured, okay, there's going to be a match that involves a ladder, but we're like, can't just do a blatant indie ripoff of Money in the Bank because our Don't Call It Royal Rumble was Money in the Bank. So literally named the show anew. It's going to involve a ladder. Named what the match was, translates to like the ladder to the championship. No idea. No idea what we were going to do until whenever we probably like tweeted it out or put an article. But it was very close to the show date that we even decided, this is how this is going to work. It may have even been, we didn't say specifically until Jimmy and I got together to write the show like a week before. It was nuts. It was crazy.
Wrestling.
What's going on in this chat over here? We got a lot of people. We're over 50. All right, I'll take it. Well, plus some people may still be at work or working from home.
I was expecting one person.
And besides me.
Yeah, I was like, that was him. Literally.
So let's let me ask you guys too. It looks like on my end you guys should be able to hear us okay. Let me know in the chat at any point if the audio gets kind of goofy, because we are going to try to keep the audio low. So it's going to be sort of a shoot interview / podcast meets director's commentary on a DVD or Blu-ray or a digital movie. So we're going to keep the volume on the matches and things very, very low, if not totally killed. We may turn it up here and there for like funny like verbals that we know happen in a match.
Bear with me, I cringe watching back all of my matches. So
I should play as many of your. I probably got at least 30 to 40 Kylie outtakes on here from promos.
Yeah, that's just a completely different story. They're rough.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, they're saying we sound fine. That's good. Now, again, that may kind of ebb and flow, because how this is going to work is when we switch momentarily to Kylie Rae versus Deonna Purrazzo, you're going to have the match taking up most of the screen. Kylie and I will be tiny floating heads down in the corner talking over the match. So we may need to make some adjustments. So let us know on the fly as we need to make those. But we're going to do what we can from what we got.
The wrestler that always makes you smile because of her smile. That's so sweet. Thank you. Wait, my eyes are bad. Bully TV. Sorry, I should wear my glasses.
Here, try mine.
My cheaters. I don't. That's what my dad can see without my cheaters. Wait, that actually works like really well.
There's that word I can't say because it involves your real name, but there's that symbiosis
right.
we talk about. We basically share one
from
brain.
Europe. Oh, look at Portugal. Oh my gosh, I'm very terrible with geography, but bear with us. What was it over there? Nando's. Yeah, right that way. I believe it's east.
It legit is that
way.
way.
I literally always have to say, never eat sour watermelons.
I have no idea what direction my house faces.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Totally that way.
That's very true. Do you guys like Nando's? I don't think I've ever... No, I feel like I've heard of that. Have you heard of
There's one in Naperville, yeah.
Is there? What's your favorite? Well, I don't know. Sorry, can you...
Alright, we got Boston.
Soggy waffles. That's another good one. Oh gosh, sound quality is all good. Well, thank you. Yes. Hello. Question for the champ. Who's the champ? You, right?
Yeah. No, big sword. You were supposed to fight her in a week, but you're still gonna fight.
That's what I was.
You're still gonna wrestle Big
Swole.
It's just not gonna be next Friday. Positivity. You're still gonna fight Big Swole for the Phoenix of Rise Championship.
Is this an open forum?
More or less. I think open forum within reason. Now, keep in mind when we get to the matches, we're going to be probably more focused on the video in front of us because we're going to be watching these just like you guys. And so we may have to kind of bounce back and forth. Keep in mind, we actually can't, the way this is set up, pause the video because the files are kind of embedded. So we may end up kind of going and providing whatever commentary or wacky stories throughout these matches and then circling back and scrolling through the chat. Let's see let's plow through a couple of questions and probably set the table for Kylie's second match in Rise.
Yay. Okay, wait, so do we do questions right now? Or are we going
I was just seeing if there were any more. Okay. I thought I saw that. Oh, yeah, the merch questions come up.
Purchase from you. Honestly, I am very bad at that. I've been trying to get a store for it's probably years now at this point because I just don't know how to go about doing it. I've heard of different routes, and usually I just sell t-shirts and 8x10s at shows that I'm at, but currently working on a store, we'll say that, as that's been my answer for years now. So I need to get more. Soon. Wait, if GPA and Frank the Clown were drowning, what kind of sandwich would you eat? Probably peanut butter and jelly. But I would also try to save them because regardless of their feelings about me, I actually personally really, really do like GPA and Frank the Clown. They're nice humans, but don't tell them that I said that. The gig is out.
Oh no!
Are you coming back to Wildcat in New Orleans? I would love to, but at the moment we're kind of on lockdown, so I don't know if it's happening anytime soon.
The answer to all of those questions is yes.
Right. Always.
Is Rise going to be on TV? Yes. Is Rise not really closing? Everything's okay? Sure.
I know, right? Sure.
sure. My debts are magically gone. Hey, they could be. That honestly is something I've thought about in all of this.
Stop. One day, right? Ever thinking of getting the person that sings your theme? I would love to for a live performance. That would be amazing. I wanted to try to get I don't know how to go about getting the rights of or asking for permission for the rights of the Pokemon theme song, but I don't think it's possible.
I'll give you a hint. It involves this pen and your checkbook.
Oh, okay.
That's how that works.
Oh, one day, once all my school loans are paid off, right? We'll see how all this goes. Any plans for a tour in Europe when we all return to civilization? Hopefully, I would love to. Again, these are all... I feel like the schedules have been so hectic lately because everything's been getting canceled. Honestly, everything's been being taken... I want to say day by day, but it's honestly hour by hour at this point. Our governor just put out a statement or had a press conference.
It's assumed to be coming, but Illinois is about to be under a little bit more stringent of I think lockdown's too strong of a term, but positivity, onward and upward. So we may have to kind of add a ground rule, guys, of a lot of these questions may be about, hey, this show, that show, basically anything that involves a show date that wasn't today or earlier, we're not going to be able to give you guys great answers. I wish we could. I wish I could tell you a specific date that is definite for the postponement or the reenactment or whatever we want to call it for a charming finale, the final RISE event. We are still wanting to get to that, but it's I can't really book a venue for a month from now, 2 months from now. Nobody knows.
Legally,
nobody. I wish I could hold whatever cold not Mountain Dew can tonight. But
there was one question I saw: waffles, pancakes, or French toast. That's a great question. I love those questions. Anything about food, amazing. Also, love all three, but I'm gonna have to go with pancakes because I don't know why. It used to be French toast, but now it's pancakes. So thank you for that question. Also, I'm so sorry I cut you off. We are going to have this match. It's going to be me versus Big Swole one day. She's freaking phenomenal. She's so good. It's
selfishly, I'll rise things out of it. I just want to see that match.
Right.
I don't care where it happens. That is just two giant bubbles of personality that are due to collide and just it's gonna be cray. It is gonna be cray.
Literally. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna segue away from chat room questions for just a second. We're gonna set the table so we can get to the first match, but not your first match. Let's set the table a little bit here. Mm-hmm. So your first RISE match we aren't watching today, but you had your debut against then Shimmer champion Nicole Savoy. Yeah. Do you have any memories of that match? And you guys are about to learn why I asked that question in that way.
I remember how beyond stoked I was to get in the ring with somebody of the, moniker of Nicole Savoy. Oh my god, queen of submissions, just suplexes, all, her technical wrestling is head and shoulders above anything I had ever been in the ring with before. I was just, and not to mention it was my debut of RISE, so of course I was just over the top. Barely slept the night before, which is usually the case for all of my matches because of how nervous I get. You would think that it gets better over time, but it doesn't. I still get this nervous. But yeah, to step in the ring with Nicole Savoy, I do have memories of the match. I remember how nervous I was. Pretty sure I kept going up to you, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I was so nervous. And you're like, just breathe, like you do before most of my matches again.
Should we show them this trick?
Yeah, right.
Stress ball.
And then gauging how tightly I squeeze his hand, that's my level of anxiety. So
based on the level of my circulation after the stress ball, that's how I know kind of where she's at.
That's just life.
That day, too, you didn't just have a match. You had a hell of a seminar. So you have a seminar with a lot of Joshi wrestlers, which is cool enough, but then Aja Kong gets in the ring. What goes through your head when you're like, I'm Kylie, I train with Kevin sometimes at the then Purgatory School before there was Freelance Wrestling Academy, and this is fine, we're doing some stuff from Japanese schools, and then you just see, because Aja Kong, it was almost like one of those martial arts movies where there's the person who doesn't join the fight at all. They're just kind of quiet in the corner. And that was Aja, just like watching, arms folded, talking to the Joshi. What goes through your head when you're one of the girls in the ring and you just see Aja Kong like put her knee up on the canvas, grab the rope, and she's getting in?
I was speechless. Like, there are no words. And please forgive me if I'm not remembering everything correctly, but this was at a time when there still weren't as many women doing what we do now.
Yeah.
So just being in the vicinity of like all those talented women, it was overwhelming because we had the opportunity to learn things that, I was in such a small area. Like, I was very new. I think I had been around maybe at most 3 women in our group at a time, if that. So being able to be around like that caliber of talent was just, and then being able to learn from them because like they've been all around the world. They've literally done it all. And then having Medusa there as well, and that's how I got to meet Chris Wolf, who is another phenomenal wrestler, and it was just awesome. We got to see that like we can actually do things in the ring. We can be athletic. We can do character-based stuff if we want to, but we can also be taken seriously as wrestlers. And that's the part we were able to learn from other females who might not be able to do what men specifically are able to do, but they were able to find different ways for us to do things that we did want to do and we wanted to excel at. And it was usually there's a way to learn and it's just this route, but they were able to come from this route and teach us this specific way, and it was just cool. It was literally a once in a lifetime opportunity. Or very few opportunities come like that throughout the entire career, and it was awesome.
Well, then on top of that, as much as what the fans see with like the live shows and the matches that we'll eventually hit play on, I promise. Imagine that. You and I got sidetracked.
Right?
Squirrel! Like, you've had a chance to, because you took part in a lot of the seminars. Like, you did the first one to kind of get your foot in the doors, as the case with like 65-70% of the girls who've ever been in RISE. And then after you did that one, you were able to be in a couple of the seminars, like Bull Nakano,
yes.
Cheerleader Melissa, Mercedes seminars, Saraya Knight,
Mm-hmm.
like, there were some perks beyond just matches and getting your brain rattled in your first match.
Yeah, right.
That's a story. Maybe we'll table that one. But should we watch Kylie Deonna 1?
Yes, please.
All right, get ready, folks, because we are about to watch from RISE 6 Brutality. Virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo versus Smiley Kylie Rae. So setting the stage again, match 2. Well, I guess we can talk about this on the entrances, but this was your first match in Los Angeles, if not California overall, right?
Yes.
Here we go.
First match in California, first match in LA, second match in RISE. First match against Deonna as well, which I was, obviously, as you could tell, I was a huge fan of from like when I was throughout training before I even had a match. It was just all the optimism. all of it.
So young, so naive.
Right. I slid right
That was
across
one of your best slides though, because of that vinyl canvas.
Yeah, right? The canvas was just so slippery. Thank God. Usually I run right into the ring and don't move an inch.
My favorites are the ones where like your kneecaps are still hanging over the apron because there's just no skin to it.
Hit my shit on the apron, it's fine.
So inside baseball here. I'm assuming most people in here have probably seen this match, so I'm going to try not to spoiler it in case there are people who have not seen this match.
I didn't even know that happened. Great.
She almost ate crap, like falling through the curtain. But this match by design was, we were definitely getting behind Deonna Purrazzo in RISE. We knew we wanted to get behind Kylie, and we tried to write this match into the show in a way that would actually elevate both. Because clearly one of them is probably going to have to lose, because it's a pro wrestling match. There are winners and losers. I'm not going to give that away if you haven't seen this. But that's what we wanted to do, and in my opinion, I guess I would have to say this, but I think this match absolutely did its job, and you're going to see kind of a bookend of this when we do Deonna Kylie 1 and then Deonna Kylie 2.
Mm-hmm. I saw a question that was like, what have you learned from Deonna as a person and a wrestler? And she really taught me to like stand up for what you believe in. in a weird way, and this might come as a surprise to her, but, like, again, I really look up to her, and I really respect her, and the stuff that she does, like, it's so crisp, and it's just, she's just so good. Like, you gotta be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's another thing that she taught me, and it's, you know, we can sit here and stay in our comfort zones, and that's just, it's not how we're gonna get better. Like, we gotta push ourselves, and she definitely pushed me in this match, and it was just a lot of fun. Like, I'm literally smiling ear to ear, just like, such a loser.
No.
Also, that there's good people in this world, because, you know, sometimes we get down on ourselves, and stuff happens, but, like, no, there's just there's good people out there, and I love it.
Sometimes you just gotta stop and remember why you started.
Right.
There it is. I gotta get that chant. Sportsmanship.
Such a good crowd too. Like, LA was great.
And this is
so welcoming.
This is the first time this crowd in, like, Southern California would have had a chance to see you in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Deonna hadn't been in LA much, if at all, at this point. I know Deonna's first UK match was with RISE at RISE 4. I think this was one of her very first times in LA. But Deonna was a very special talent in RISE. Obviously, she was at the forefront of a lot of things we did we had her, it seems like Deonna was in RISE like for 100 years. She was in there for 1 year and a day.
Because that's how much of an impact she makes on any company, like any show, any company. Like, she has a presence, and she makes it well known, and it's, yeah. I cringe when I'm, like, sloppy. I'm like, oh gosh!
I love this whole match. I love. I mean, I've gone on record saying it's one of my favorite matches from RISE. But the first, like, 2 minutes and just the buffet you guys basically set up for everybody to just, like, gobble up from.
Yeah, it is.
And as you all see in a minute, the wave just it pops me every time.
It's so extra. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like, we had fun moments that we didn't even think that they were going to be moments. And then once they happened, it was like, oh wow, we were able to feed off of the crowd, and, like, yeah, it was just...
I love this. Great positioning, referee. Move, Odie. I did that.
She's like, girl.
Like, everything you're seeing in Deonna's face is 100% like the person and the wrestler are all at the same one. There's no blurred line.
I just love how young we look too. Like,
yeah, so it was December 2017.
So wild.
December 1st, 2017. Yeah, this match was quite a bit of fun because it was two people that we knew were going to be prominent good girls in the world of RISE, but could we still get it in a way where the crowd would get definitively behind both? And I think it gets there. Hey!
Oh my gosh, if I try to throw that drop kick now, whoo, brother. There's the wave.
Hey, I threw a drop kick like a month ago. You can throw a drop kick. Never mind that it was crippled for the next 7 days.
I'm just laughing at, like, how much joy is on my face because I know I, like, legitimately fell down. Such a losers.
So one thing I was going to point out, I was trying to find a tactful way, but I don't know if I'll have a tactful way because I have the tact of a bulldozer. But one thing I'll say is a very solid thing about you now, like, you have a really wide selection of gear, right? This was in the phase where I think every match I'd ever seen of you was actually in this one set of Pikachu gear, which, you know, royalties and stuff come along and that has to change, but you keep your gear changed. I wanted to ask you, like, is there any rhyme or reason to, like, what gear you wear on a show now? Because you have the same, like, basic pattern, but then, like, the color schemes change and things. Or is it just like, yeah, that's clean?
Yeah, no, it used to be that. It used to be like, Okay, alright, this is starting to smell a little bit too much now. But yeah, I only had that one gear, and I didn't realize, like, she's like, oh, heck no. Rightfully so, I probably would have done the same. So good.
I love that spot so much. And that got one of the biggest reactions, if not the biggest reaction of the match.
Right. No, but I didn't realize how important gear was. Like, how people will take you more seriously. Like, presentation is everything. So, like, when people first see you, like, a lot of the stuff they see is, like, obviously aesthetically and then your presence and whatnot. But gear is extremely important because that helps you, quote unquote, look like a wrestler. But I didn't realize how important it was until I started putting more thought and, time into, making myself a brand, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Right, and fortunately enough, there's a phenomenal gear maker in the area who was like, hey, you need some more stuff. Like, my stuff was just falling apart at this point because I was just...
Well, didn't this Pikachu outfit actually, like, disintegrate?
Yeah, I still have it, but there's, like, holes in the top. It's, like, the color's just rough. It's, like, there's no way in getting the smell out of it. It's just... It's very seasoned, we'll say.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's got some city miles on it,
yeah,
right?
That's right. It's seen a lot. It's been around the block a few times. So yeah, now I think it depends on the match. I try to always think about my opponent and what color gear they're gonna wear as well, because I don't want to be matching. She waves so great. And I'll try to bring like 2 sets if I can, but just to be different from who I'm wrestling, and depending on if I think, and stuff changes all the time, if I think I'm gonna be the aggressor, if I'm facing somebody who's like super babyface, maybe I'll wear like a little bit darker colors. But if I'm like trying to make a good first impression, like I'll wear like the bright colors to get that message across, like, hey, this is super, super babyface. Like I used to always wear the Pikachu top when it was my first time at a company, because like that was part of I just wanted to get the fans. I just thought it was a way to get them like emotionally invested in me.
It was familiar.
Yeah,
right? If they don't know you, they know what that means.
Right.
Like it's like a Nike swoosh. Somebody sees it, you know what that stands for.
Mm-hmm. And
I love this.
Kick your face! Oh, thank you for still going back to the art.
Yeah, well, you and I actually talked about this not that long ago. You shared with me that this match was, I think you and I actually were talking about this match or watching it with like separate conversations, but was this not one of the matches where you kind of figured out like, hey, I don't have to do like 45 bumps in a match, and because when you really break this match down, it's just the story of Deonna going after that arm, Kylie trying to outfox and out wrestle, like right here she goes.
Right. So wild, because sometimes we get in the habit of wanting to do so much, but yeah, watching those, it's like, wow, less is really more.
There it is, we got a winner.
So wild.
Way to lose, loser.
Yeah, right. Just slap the big eye. I think I lose most of my matches anyways, which I don't.
You eventually got on a winning streak, right? All right, so that concludes that match. So here we are. We're back in studio.
I used to be so agile. Now I'm like broken and hurting like all the time.
Everyone is in their first like 2 years.
Yeah, right?
Oh, hey, if I do a leg drop off the top rope every night for 13 years, my tailbone hurts.
Seriously.
Oh man, God, I love that match. So simple, but you were even saying like, oh, thank you for staying the arm. She was actually thanking her past self for remembering like just a simple story. I mean, this was a story of basically 2 good girl wrestlers. One's just being a little too goody-goody for the other's taste, and there was just enough aggression for the crowd to get behind one in a somewhat good girl way, but the other hadn't like compromised her morals or done anything inherently bad. It's not like she threw a fireball in your face. She just broke your arm using technique.
No,
That's fine.
No super bad guy. They were just frustration and too much happiness. Came back to bite me. That was, I really like that match. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, I forget how much I love that freaking match.
It's so simple, but like I said at the top, and now I'm not spoiling it in case anybody had seen it, that was one. That was really. This was Jimmy Jacobs' like first step into Rise. Useless fact, somewhat, but I'm going to share it anyway. That was the first match Jimmy Jacobs was ever an agent for or producer for in Rise, because he had actually just parted ways with WWE, somewhat famously, in the fall of 2017. But Jimmy was right here in Rise, and that was sort of the start of Jimmy writing and producing the shows and becoming more involved. And that was one where it was match 2 on the card. It needed to do specific things that we kind of needed out of match 2. So it was a lot of moving parts with that, but
he helped us tremendously. Like, he was one of the ones who was just like, okay, but like we want that moment, and that's something that like we don't always remember or plan for. But he's like, okay, we need that moment, and I was just like, wow, like listening to him and learning from him has just it's helped tremendously. Like I can't. Just being around him, even like nowadays, or even like we'll watch the ladder match eventually, but he was an agent for that as well, and like his mind is just so, he thinks so out of the box, and like that honestly helps, because sometimes when we're in the same area with certain people, we tend to wrestle the same way. We, again, sticking to our comfort zones, if you know, or whatever like the hot thing is, like that's what we want to do. But like his mind is so great.
I'll tell you, something I wish I had filmed was when he and I were writing the Rumble match from Legendary last year. Because even though it was just me and him in my living room, Jimmy's creative process is very kinetic. He does not stay in one spot with a tablet. And it was like me and Jimmy randomly like stomping with all these pantomime. Like if somebody was watching from the outside in, we absolutely looked like just a complete couple of loons. But Jimmy has this uncanny ability to help people find those moments, like you just said, but to play to people's strengths, to have a talent or two talents in a match and know that maybe one person, and this is speaking across all of wrestling, there's no specific names we need to put to this, but some people are better technical wrestlers than others. Some people are much more character shtick, gaga, haha kind of stuff. And sometimes they, bless their heart, they don't have a lot of personality, but how do you draw out what is there? How do you spotlight the good, tarp off the maybe less than great?
Smoke and mirrors?
Yep.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors, baby.
Oh, sorry.
We're safe. We both washed our hands since we've been in here.
Right.
Or since we've been in here. There's a sink in this room. Since you got here. Let's actually go to the chat room. I think there's a couple of questions about this match. If you guys have any questions or thoughts on Deonna Kylie 1 before we go into Deonna Kylie 2. Let's see, there was a question there about the crossface I thought I saw.
Did they give you the crossface finish on that one, or did you work that out with Deonna? Well, the finish was the roll-up, right? From the crossface? So, a crossface I had been doing for a while at that point as my finish. So then we just had her counter that, and I think you had given us the finish, right? You were, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
I think that was more or less what we had on paper. I knew that Jimmy and I probably talked about this, and then he probably laid it out for you. But I think because I was pretty familiar with Kylie's work, being that we're both from Chicago and like trained at the same school at the time, I think I just said I want it to be Deonna on an out fox or a counter of some kind, and the idea was, can maybe Kylie gets the crossface or almost it, but it was in the ballpark. But Jimmy probably just helped you put the bloom on the rose. You girls probably just had to figure out how the hell to get there.
Yeah.
That was the fun part. Anyone can say, what's the finish? Give me a pile driver.
Right.
Have it make people care that you're the one pile driving me.
Yeah.
Actually, people would, you know what? You should give me a pile driver.
No, I've never given one, and I don't think,
Live lessons. Kylie Rae learns the pile driver.
Oh gosh.
That'll
I
be
can't even imagine.
Let me scroll through, make sure this maybe isn't
I love
behind.
the crossface submission. Do either of you have favorite submission moves?
Oh.
What's your favorite?
I've got like 10,000 submission moves. My current, like I go back and forth because I've never been a wrestler, but I teach a lot of wrestling involved things like with the freelance kids, and a lot of that submissions. My big one lately has been the Butterfly Deathlok.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, actually, do we see, oh no, we don't have there's a match where Tessa, I think, puts you in that, but we don't have that. But essentially a Butterfly Deathlok is, an Indian Deathlock, and then you get the person in a butterfly suplex, keep the lock, and then you completely turn them upside down. And it's pretty damn brutal. That's my current favorite.
It does. And there was a time that the Koji Clutch, when I was first starting out, the Koji Clutch was one. Because I liked the idea of, like, Kurt Angle. He had the submission, and then he had, like, the finisher. Like the statement one. That's what the statement. But yeah, I used to love the Koji Clutch. I don't know why I never did it in a match, but yeah, it's
probably because almost everyone else was doing it at the time he broke in. I think a lot of people were.
It's so I just love. Yeah, I would see, like, Sami Zayn would do it and Christopher Daniels, and then I'd always done the crossface, and there's just so many different ways to get into the crossface. I think that always helped, and I had always stuck with that. And then I loved doing the super kick, so that was always my statement one. But of course, everyone, it's just a strike now, just a transition move. Right. I don't know. I still love it as a finisher though. So
hey, anything can be a finishing move in pro wrestling if it's put in the right place.
That's fair. That is fair.
A finish can be a punch. A finish can be a headlock. You just have to do it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything can be a finish. Anything.
That's fair. What's the next? Is that
See if we had any other question. Oh, here. How do you come up with names for moves and finishers?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever. Oh wait, I said for the crossface, I would say it's the charity case, and that's because people would call me a charity case because they said that I need a lot of help. And I was like, oh, like, if you get out of the charity case, like, yeah, I don't know. But that's literally the only move I ever named, and you can obviously tell why. I would do, like, this roll-through kip-up thing into basement super kick.
You just saw it.
Yes, yeah. And I think somebody, because Skyday would do that, so I would always just call it the Skyday. But I know somebody else, like, on Instagram or Twitter had deemed it, like, the Kylie Special with the, the kick afterwards. So I had started calling it that as well. I think sometimes it's, like, fan base, and some moves, like, a lot of moves are already named, so I guess it depends on, like the crossface, like, that's already named, right? Like, I like to give credit where credit's due, if that... I don't know. What do you think?
I think the fun story. I had no idea your crossface was called the charity case until it was, like, being called that by Allison Kay on the main event of a show I was promoting. I was just like, oh, it is? All right. She calls that the charity case. I'm like, does she?
I'm just a big charity case.
Glad we're following protocol of approvals. The rigid office approval process of RISE.
Is fine too.
The thing that I wish more people would do is I'll use the Sister Abigail is what a lot of people will know it as, because it's what Bray Wyatt, Fiend, and, like, all incarnations of Bray Wyatt have done. If you're gonna, and I'm not a person who's gonna be like, oh, you can't do this move because so and so does it. Because, God, everybody does almost every move right now. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm not even a wrestler, and I do a Butterfly Deathlok. Like, who cares? Right? I think there's something to, like, if it's branded, like, the Sister Abigail, it's called that because Bray Wyatt had a sister named Abigail in the story of that. My preference is that on an indie show, probably shouldn't call Kylie Rae giving Tessa Blanchard that move the Sister Abigail. Because to me, it's just like, hey, watch them do Bray Wyatt's move. It's like, it doesn't, if you call it a Scorpion Deathlock, okay, it's Sting's leg lock. If you call it the Sister Abigail, okay, there's so many different ways of, like, swinging facebuster things you could call it. Again, there's no absolutes. There's no rights and wrongs in wrestling. It's subjective. But since the question was, like, what do you guys think? That's what I think. Is just either, if you can, call it a truly, like, prim, proper scientific name of what it is, or come up with something. If you're having trouble coming up with something, ask somebody. Ask somebody who's creative. Like, that's something where if I got stuck, I would, like, text, like, Colt Cabana or somebody that's good at coming up with stuff off the top of their head. How do you come up with names for moves and finishers? We got, hope we do another tour in Japan again. Oh, God, the Japan tour.
Oh, I know. As much as we would all love to, yes, we also remember what... It was just a series of unfortunate events, but I would like to think it wouldn't happen again. There was just a lot of injuries.
Yeah. Sorry, my PTSD is about to kick in.
Okay.
Remember that time I almost killed you, sending you to Japan?
So we're all okay now. I just have a plate in my shoulder and I think six screws. It's just, but honestly, like stuff like that, like I don't think anything, like obviously no injuries need to happen, but sometimes like there's a reason for everything, and I know I wouldn't be where I am at today without all of that happening. If that makes sense.
If this were a podcast, I'd have to say like swig a beer or roll tide. Isn't that what kind of it says? All right, a couple things before we get into Kylie Deonna 2. Thank you both for making today better. Aw, that was our goal. That was
wait, we'll do all those now because Corona. Sorry.
Slap my thigh.
Right. Probably.
What is more important to you? Original moves so you can stand out, or having a move set that you like, but a lot of people do also? Do you need your cheaters?
No. I don't know. I think honestly, it depends on where you're at. I would like to say.
Yeah.
If
I'd agree with that. Like you take anybody who's fresh out of wrestling school, like they shouldn't probably be doing a ton of moves. Honestly, the least you can give them to remember in a match is probably better. Yeah, there's again no right or wrong answer, but I think no matter what you do, to me I usually look at taking the moves out of it. Yes, they're important, but like the reason, in my opinion, people will buy a ticket to watch her wrestle is like, oh, let's go see the crossface girl. Like her regular fans may know that, but I don't think
anybody buys a ticket to see me. But I think they're like, ooh, she's on the show, let's avoid that.
Let's see, Rise or SmackDown? Who's on top? Oh, Kylie. Zach down.
Cringe. But thank you. Sorry, anyways, whatever you were saying. Yes.
Would you do the worm? There is the $1 million question.
Oh, I would totally do I can do it both ways. I can do it backwards and forwards. But I haven't done it since like 4th grade. But I have a...
How have I not known this until now?
There's a part of me that wants to try it out, but I won't because I
have a yoga mat. I can put down a pad. That's ratings. That's ratings. This is happening.
Wait, oh my gosh! What the hell? Okay, this is too much.
It's really hard to sell that this is actually improv, but this actually was just in the room. All right, here we go.
Oh my gosh.
WERM.
Lord. Okay, ready?
No Kylies will be harmed in the making of this film.
Oh gosh, that hurts so much.
All right, yes. Here we go.
I first knocked the wind out of myself.
I didn't tell you to take a pump on the yoga mat.
It's been like 15 years since I've done that, so please, just bear with me.
Oh, man. That
the things
was awesome.
I do.
Everyone needs to, that's the Twitch clip. That's the Twitch clip. That's the GIF. Everyone tweet that down.
I'm leaving.
No, they are fools for missing it. Are your ribs still intact?
Oh, surprisingly.
Have some asparagus.
Yeah, right.
It heals cores.
No, I will have a piece of asparagus right now.
That was
cringe.
That was the moment. Okay, I'm not sick. Throwing that out there, I'm not sick. I always cough when I laugh hard. It's not because I have a virus. It's because I'm really out of shape.
Oh, clearly. Whew.
Oh, God, okay. that was a moment. All right. Let's see here. Did Kylie just find her new finisher right now? Yes, she did.
The worm. Oh,
did this turn into a seminar?
Sweat is
no, the seminar's the seminar's the pile driver.
Yeah, right. We'll get there. Don't worry.
I'm totally teaching the pile driver. Maybe not with the camera.
Well, yeah, right. Well,
should we broadcast
maybe not on hardwood floor.
No, it's fine. There's a very thin yoga mat. Yeah, it'll be fine.
The wrestler mentality.
If you could have your own 4 horseman type gang, with you as the leader, who would you pick as the other 3? And it could be men or women.
If I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I should be the leader. I would be like a hard, maybe possibly the secretary or vice president, we'll say. But if you see me as the leader of a group, please run the other way. Do not, that is just, it's not a good group. That's just, we would get distracted, we'd never get anything done, it would just be people bumping into each other. What the hell are we doing here?
It'd basically be a slightly more physical version of what you see.
Exactly. I don't know, that's a good question. Are we talking like, we're probably talking about wrestling, right? We're not talking about real world gangs.
If you were
I'm sorry, Corona's going on, so I don't know if I gotta be prepared. Right?
If you were going to go to war with the Bloods, Crips, or Latin Kings,
what would happen? Okay, I joined that stable. Can I have, let's see, okay, I don't know. Do you want like current wrestlers? See, I'm very much like, I need the gray area. I'm not just like a black and white person.
Okay, let's answer it two ways. Current. I'll moderate.
Okay, because I was 100% naming Shawn
Michaels. You're for horse
there.
Person stable, and we're going to open it up to all gender identities, not even just necessarily male and female here. We're RISE, we're friendly to all gender identities. So
we gotta limit it.
Okay, but you're limited to 3 current.
3 current.
Man, this is a
I feel too mean. I can't pick people.
Because you're excluding everyone.
I know. I'm like, oh, I feel bad for the people who are getting left out. Like, okay, I can't. Let's see. Oh, I can't do it. I'm gonna say no comment. I'm pleading the fifth on that one. I'm a fan of too many freaking people. Although you did say Colt Cabana, and I'm pretty sure I did Colt Cabana and Chuck Taylor to that. And honestly, Jordan Grace. No, okay. Look. Now I'm nervous eating because I feel like I have to name people, and I'm like.
Oh. Well, now we can be like, okay, good guy stable, bad guy stable.
Oh.
Man, there's a variable with a manager, without a manager.
All right, next match.
Squirrel! Somebody jingle the keys. See if there's any other questions. Guys, we're getting ready to queue up Kylie Deonna 2 from Rise Ascent. Is that really Smiley Kylie Rae? No, it's just an incredibly lifelike animatronic that I've been working on.
Somebody left a comment on my picture the other day, and they're like, hey, do you still wrestle? And I'm like, no. No, obviously I do, but I was just like, well, whenever, we're legally allowed to or healthily allowed to, we'll say. Okay, I'm done with the asparagus. This is the last piece.
All right. Can we actually answer some of these that I'm moderating out right now? Specifically that one.
I don't know.
Smiley Avengers. Now there's a stable name. There's your stable
Smiley,
right
yes!
there. The Incredible Hulk, Hawkeye, and Ant-Man.
I've been wanting a bodyguard. I've been wanting a bodyguard so freaking badly to, just in case, just to have my back. But I'm talking about in wrestling, not like, but maybe in real life too. I probably need like a mentor or something, a life coach going on right now. But I apologize. What's the next match?
And now Kylie Deonna 2.
Okay, gotcha. Oh gosh, yes.
Oh, we got Deonna's promo queued up first.
Tonight is really bittersweet for me. Because
so beautiful.
Tonight
what a beautiful song.
My last Rise for the foreseeable future. And Rise management asked me to pick anyone on the Rise roster that I wanted to wrestle. So I chose Kylie Rae. She really impressed me back at Rise 6 in LA. And if I'm going out, I want to do it in style. So tonight, for my last Rise, the virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, Miss Kylie Rae. One last time.
My heart. Oh, she picked me. Little old me.
So it looks like we are joined.
I'm going to turn the commentary as off as possible here because that's one inside baseball thing. I wasn't real happy with some things that were said on commentary here, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh. We're ready for the match. Yeah!
Yeah, there she is! Completely confident in every way and not at all about to pee.
Right? No insecurities, no anxiety. It's okay. See, these matches are so old I don't even have my hair up yet. Look at that. I had a weave in. Look at those extensions. Oh, so difficult. So extra.
Just tweeting out to the masses that they just missed you doing the worm.
Oh my gosh. Also missed me almost knocking the wind out of myself. This is when I started getting newer gear too, as you could tell.
Yes.
It's still clean. So.
Well, this was also you were what 4 days after this was when you flew to Japan.
Yes. Yes.
Oh
yes,
man,
yes.
this whole taping, man, that's the stories we can tell about this whole weekend.
Did the venue get changed? No, it was the date.
No, this was we were gonna have Stardom talent, then Ring of Honor screwed me over on communicating on the visas. Yep, that's the first time I've ever said that out loud. But yeah, Ring of Honor, I love you.
Okay.
So we didn't have the Stardom talent. There was the festival in town. This is where like the main event was supposed to be Shotzi Delilah on the Twitch special. Then they both broke their ankles, and we had to rewrite this whole taping. This was a lot, and then. Like 4 days after this, we were all supposed to fly to Japan. 7 were supposed to go. 4 actually made it.
See, I'm sweating in that too. Oh, I'm sorry.
So
4 actually
7
made
were
it.
supposed to go. 4 actually went. Only 2 came back uninjured.
Yes.
So awful.
It was rough.
All right. Is this me to tweet approval? Did you just miss Kylie Rae doing the worm live on Twitch? Yep, still live though.
Come check it out. I was so happy. Oh, she had just, obviously she's at WWE now, but I was like, are we allowed to say she was?
Yeah, this one was a very weird still picture at one point because it was like the farewell match for Deonna Purrazzo to go to WWE on an indie show in an Impact ring. It was like so many things going on right here. In fact, and this isn't intended to be a rock, I think it's just a fun fact, and it was done for obvious reasons, but Madison Rayne was on this show, and there was a picture of Madison actually in the turnbuckle where Brandon Tull is right now, and she was just like popped up there like chilling, posing cheats, and that ended up being, that was taken by one of our favorite fan photographers, Scott Lesh. Scott's taken a lot of great pictures.
So great. Such a good friend. Also Brandon, great effort. Great
but WWE bought that photo from Scott for Madison's Mae Young Classic announcement.
No way!
So it was a photo of a RISE show on WWE.com. I was like, oh, that's fun. But they actually photoshopped out the Impact logos on the buckles because she was like laying on top right there. And I mean, it makes sense why, but I just thought it was just one of those things where like so few people would know that anything's missing. I think the first thing I did was I shot a text to Scott just to make sure he actually got paid for it, and they didn't just like take it off. So some intern didn't just like take it off social media or something.
Curious.
Was Dust one of the uninjured? Yes, Dust was. It was supposed to be the caravan going over there was supposed to be. I was going to go with the girls, Kylie, Kikyo, Britt Baker, Dust, Shotzi, and Delilah Doom. Shotzi and Delilah got hurt before the Twitch special, which was the day before these tapings, and then I had to pull out, quite frankly, because I was going broke and like going to die. So I had to cash in the insurance policy on that flight, which I don't think ever actually worked. I think it was just out the money. And then Kikyo.
Just a good chunk of change too. Japan.
Yeah, it was like a $1,400 flight. But yeah, Kikyo, Kylie, Dust, and Britt all got there, and we're all supposed to be there for different lengths of time. Britt was only supposed to be there for like 2 days and back because she was just starting to become a dentist. Because I don't know if you guys know this, Britt Baker's a dentist.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Side note, amazing.
But Britt wasn't able to get a lot of time off because she just started practicing dentistry. So she was just going to be there for I think it was a total of 3 shows and back. You were supposed to be there for like a week or 9 days or something. Delilah about the same, and then Shotzi was supposed to be there the entire run. Kikyo was supposed to be there the entire run, and then Dust was supposed to be there the entire run. Well, Kikyo tore her ACL like training before she even got to have a match on Japanese soil.
It was literally the day we were at the show, like getting prepared, and it's just so sad. Like we got all the way there, and it was like we all knew how much it meant to Kikyo. It was a huge dream of hers, and as the rest of us as well. And it was. I was grateful I, got to wrestle 3 matches over there before I broke my collarbone. But overall, like, I can't speak on behalf of Kikyo, but I wouldn't trade that experience for the world because it's so extra.
I love the callbacks here.
Right?
It's good callbacks to that first match, and that's. We kind of set the stage that this was the opponent Deonna wanted, and And a large part of that was true. I think I did pitch her. I was like, hey, I know this is going to be your last one. I'd like it to be Kylie, but I'll do whatever you want. And I felt it with all the rewrites that happened on this. And I actually, I found a printout when I was cleaning this office earlier of one of the original versions of what was supposed to happen on this show.
Completely different.
Yeah. This was one of the few matches that survived. Like, we advertised this, and it was important to me to get one more Kylie Deonna match before it realistically wouldn't be an option for at least a while. Because the world needs more Kylie Deonna matches. They're just damn fun.
It's so much fun.
Going for the charity case.
Now that we know. This was a Sunday, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I don't know why. It doesn't matter what the day of the week that it's on, but...
Let me see if I can find this. I don't know if I ever told you what your first version of this taping after this match looked like, but you're probably going to love it. Thought I saw a question or two come in. When did this match... This match would have been July 8th, 2018?
Yes.
July 2018 for sure. I believe July 8th, 2018. Naperville, Illinois.
Alright, Naperville doesn't get as much... But you kind of had to jump through hoops for this show,
Oh yeah,
right?
That was another thing. It almost got shut down by the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of a sudden they needed pro wrestling permits when they thought there was going to be thousands of people there. It's like, guys, I literally had to go to City Hall and be like, look,
I don't think you get
my ticket sales can't. Like, let's not do this.
Please just let us have our fun.
Oh man, where is the? There's a backstage segment you're gonna love from this.
Oh my gosh, questions like that just give me anxiety. Kylie, who is the most respected wrestler that you ever worked with or know? I don't remember having like a... Overall, my experiences in wrestling, like match-wise, like it's been super, and I'm sorry if this isn't the answer that you want, but it's been amazing. Like, I've gotten the privilege to work with so many great people that, like, I can't just nail it down to one or pick one person, because I've learned from so many different people, and I've been put in, like, amazing positions that I just feel blessed with. I know that's corny, but I truly feel blessed. Like, sometimes I look back at this, or even look back to, like before I even started having matches, because it took me like 2.5 years to just have one match. And, there was a point that I never even thought I would get to have a match. So, like, seeing like this, I've just been put in, like, honestly, amazing positions throughout my entire career, and I just feel blessed to be able to, wrestle with people like the match that we're watching right now, and then the match that we're gonna watch coming up with Mercedes, and just it's been amazing. So I'm sorry I can't just pick one. Like, throughout my entire career, it's been phenomenal.
Somebody's asking, is this going to go on the video section? Where can it be rewatched? Actually, if you guys subscribe on the Twitch channel, which if you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, you can do for free for a month. You just got to click the button that's probably on your screen right now, or on our streaming platform, riseascent.com, or the Rise apps on iOS and Android. This is Rise Ascent Episode 10. That's the episode this is from. It's Rise Ascent Episode 10, Farewell Virtuoso. Here we go. Pre-tape, one of your original angles after this was supposed to be pre-tape with Alicia and Wiley Smileys, also needed Sue Young and Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Kylie and Miranda are having fun as singles as a team. We still have our eyes on the Guardians of Rise tag team titles. Alicia hits the question about the big win over Deonna. Close up on Kylie. Zoom out as Kylie says, right, Miranda? Miranda? And she finds a Sue Young calling card of some kind. We were going to actually do the Scooby-Doo villain. Like, we see a hand come in and snatch Miranda out. And then, because it gets close on you, you're just like, Miranda? Miranda? But Jimmy, somewhere in the script, it actually says Scooby-Doo spot.
Oh, so great. See, that's another one. Like, I hope I get the chance to, like, get the ring with Miranda again soon. I've had some of my favorite matches with her. Like, this is going back to, like, when I was still living in Texas, and even, like, coming back up here. Yeah, she's great. Is there anyone you would like to face that you haven't yet? I don't know why I've been on a Chuck Taylor kick. And Cabana. But, yeah, and then honestly, there's these girls at, like, training that we're training with, and, like, Jay Raves, I would like to get in the ring with her. Honestly, Hyun is living in this area now. I would love to get in the ring with her again. I've been thinking that some of my, like, favorite matches have been with her, and we haven't gotten in the ring together in a very long time, so I only, could think about what we're able to do now as far as, like, skill-wise. Hopefully we've gotten a little better since then. Because I remember enjoying where we were previously, and I'm like, there's a lot of people that I would love to get in the ring with now. That's the thing, is that wrestling, there's so many wrestlers out there now that, like, it's just so much. So, yeah.
Like 200, not even getting into, like, people who've been in seminars that maybe weren't chosen for a show. Like 200 women have competed in RISE. Mm-hmm. And that's not even counting probably at least another 50 to 150 that maybe went to a seminar and weren't chosen. Oh, here we go.
All right.
Is it time for charity?
And it's wild, like, some of the matches that have gotten canceled, like, it truly, like, it's almost heartbreaking, because there are matches that I, like, truly look forward to, even against, like, Big Swole, and then I was going to have one against Killer Kelly, who is, again, I'm a huge fan of her, and I have never had the privilege to get in the ring with her. Even
she did it!
Kellyanne. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
she
yeah,
was always, like, just would love to.
Oh, what a fun... What if the goggles, they do nothing. What a fun little just 2-match story this was. Enough callback. Like, it didn't need a million promos. The only promo it got from either match was that little bit of Deonna saying basically, see you, Rise, peace.
Yeah.
And this set up the stage for things that wouldn't, because we very clearly, if you watch these episodes on the archives, we're setting up for what would have been Rise 10, Tessa Blanchard versus Kylie Rae for the championship. But somebody was getting old collar McSteel plate.
I know, right?
And, yeah. But you were able to come back at that show. That was the wild cards. We had no idea how long you had projected rehab, but you were ahead of schedule. Like hey, you should take it pretty easy. Okay, so deadlifts tomorrow.
So go to the gym the day after surgery? Is that what you mean? Yeah, because that's just, for some reason. I think I was at the freelance show the night of my surgery, and they're like, "Hey, can you just come out?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm like, do it for the business." No, but again, like, I was just happy to like once you get something taken away from you, that's when it hits you, and it's like, holy, like, will I ever get a chance to do this again? And like, there was no doubt in my mind. It wasn't if I was coming back; it was no when. When am I going to be in this ring again?
Yeah,
So,
that was just rough on so many levels. Like, I had such a guilt complex that I know was misplaced, and even at the time I knew it was misplaced, but I was just like, even though he has, like, mother and father in the area, siblings, boyfriend, I was just like, do you need me to carry you on my back into the hospital? I will do anything, because I have this giant guilt complex. Like, I killed Kylie and Kikyo and Shotzi. Well, Shotzi and Delilah hurt them. That was another story.
No,
that felt bad in an entirely different way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was just a lot. It was a series of unfortunate events.
Well, you know what it really came from, too, was, like, for all the pressure there was with money and the flights and everything and not being able to go, I almost pulled the plug on it, because I was just like, it just seems like everything on the business standpoint of things just seemed like this doesn't make much sense. And even without making this a big spiritual conversation, somebody that generally believes in whether you want to call it karma, the universe, or signs, or things like that, just like 2 girls got hurt before it even went, and I almost pulled the plug, but I didn't, because I couldn't bring myself to tell any of the 4 girls that were still going. It's like, hey, you know your dreams?
Kill him.
But then it was like, I should have called it. Kylie would still be alive. We wouldn't be in the situation. Kikyo could walk and everything.
I think, like, again, like, everything happens for a reason, but, like, I don't know. I can't speak on everyone's behalf, but I can't.
Well, you can. You're just choosing not to.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on everyone's behalf, but there's not. I can't thank you enough for just, and it's not just that trip. Like everything you do, like even if it's not. Well, no, that I had a little bit of a rough year, but like this guy right here is a big reason as to why, why I'm here today and why I'm even continuing wrestling. So it's like. All right, don't be weird. It's fine.
Asparagus.
All right.
Asparagus.
Moment over.
Now, it's something where I think as anybody who can watch this can tell, like, a lot of the whole Rise family is tight-knit. Like, producers, agents, like, even our sound crews and our camera crews, like, we'd all pretty well stick our neck out for anybody that's on that crew. It's a very trusting crew. And, oh, man. Yeah. And Kylie wants to say all those thanks to me. It's like, thank you for some of these moments because we're actually about to tee up. So if there is one teeny tiny silver lining and like, okay, everything happens for a reason, if that collarbone hadn't happened at the time that it happened, we might not have ever got what we're actually about to watch.
Yeah.
Because that was not even remotely... Mercedes Martinez ever holding the Phoenix of Rise. When you look at Deonna Kylie 2 in the summer of 2018, had not even remotely thought anything close to Mercedes Martinez or any of the more veteran talent on the Rise roster ever holding that title, because I looked at it kind of like how a lot of people look at the career of like a Jake Roberts or a Roddy Piper. They didn't ever necessarily need the title. There were people who were they just transcended titles. They connected with people and this, that, and the other. And it was like, it was a seminar girl title. It was kind of the perception of it, but as the company grew, more and more people looked at it. And so we were able to set the stage. And even going into as soon as like a couple of days before the Iron Woman match, the longest match that ever happened between two women in a pro wrestling ring, 75 minutes bell to bell. I don't think I made up my mind on what the result was going to be because I still couldn't quite get past this, like, does Mercedes Martinez need the championship? But there was also this thought of, okay, if Mercedes does win the title, doesn't necessarily do anything for Mercedes, but what does it do for the girl who beats Mercedes? And that's kind of the story we wanted to unfold. Do you want me to try to load this Texas one in there real quick to do the whole thing? Your call. It's just going to make the screen go black for a minute, and you'll have to keep the chat room entertained on the microphone while I load it up.
Let's ask. Can we ask the group? Do we want to see the first? Because the no ropes match was mine and Mercedes' second match.
Yeah.
So do we want the first one?
Yeah, the no ropes match is queued up, and we can go right into that. If you guys want to watch and get the inside baseball and commentary and stuff on the first match they had, which was from an episode of Rise Ascent that was filmed when we were down with Reality of Wrestling in Texas. It's just going to take me back. It's going to make the stream a little discombobulated for a second because I have to actually load it into a window. Okay, that seems to be a yes. All right, guys, your screens are probably going to go black and get some weirdness, so just give me a second. Oh, actually, I can do this, and I can leave the camera on you. Okay, show them how you can take your thumb off or something.
Shoot.
Do the worm, do the worm.
Okay. Oh, hey, it kind of looks like it. Look at that. Right? Is that
totally? It's totally what it is.
Is this believable? Somebody asked question.
Where is your thumb?
Right? Somebody asked question for both of you. Favorite candy? Question mark. If I'm being honest, for my sweet tooth, I'm definitely a chocolate chip cookie and brownie type of person. But as far as favorite candy, I do have to say, let's see, like Reese's and Kit Kats are probably top two.
I'm gonna say Candy Lee from New Zealand.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so great.
All right.
So buddy. It's a play on buddy.
Put your thumb back on.
With the face. It reminds me of Dan the Dad when he's like, I got your nose. Sorry. Shout out Dan the Dad. favorite would be wrestling with no crowd.
All right, guys, you're going to get to see me resize this window. There's no way around it, so bear with me.
Tonight's your night. Tonight you get to face Mercedes Martinez for the Phoenix of Rise Championship.
Bring out the
I know
waterworks.
I almost brought it home to us when I faced Tessa Blanchard, but I came up short. But you got this. I'm rooting for you.
Boom! All right, and
Okay.
we're back-ish. All right, so what was it? So favorite candy? I'm a peanut butter cup guy. I'm a heavy peanut butter cup guy. There's only like 2 quantities in which I can eat peanut butter cups, not at all in the entire damn bag. Let's see, the more the better. I'm cool with watching the rematch. Put your thumb back. I don't know why that reads so funny to me. Put your thumb back on. How weird would it be wrestling with no crowd? Not that weird if you train regularly.
That's what
honestly.
I was saying. We do it at training, like when we have practice matches. So honestly, right. What do they say? If you can do it in front of nobody, then you can do it in front of a crowd. So.
If you can't win over the 5 people at training, how are you gonna win over 5 million watching on paper?
Right. It is awkward, but honestly, I think everything's awkward. So, but it's fine. Like it's fun. It just you gotta be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's what it is. What was the deep dish one? Can we?
There were 2 pizza questions. Did you answer the pineapple one? Somebody went down that path of pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
What is it? Personally, I like pepperoni, but I don't know if I've ever tried pineapple on pizza.
I'm a pineapple on pizza guy. Not to me. It just depends on like where I'm getting it from. If I'm getting like a deep dish, I'm not. I've had pineapples, unless it's like a super gimmicky pizza, like a Hawaiian barbecue chicken. I think there's no like big. I don't. I love that for the internet. This is like a divining rod of like who's cool or who's an asshole. But it's like if you don't like pineapple on pizza, I don't care, man.
Yeah,
You do you. Some
no
people,
judgment.
some people like anchovies on pizza. Some people like boogers on pizza. Like you do you.
Yeah.
You do you.
Oh, I didn't know if you. But even if you do like boogers on pizza, that's cool too. We all have our own preference, and beggars pizza, pepperoni is amazing. That's my preference. But again, I feel like I would try pepperoni on pizza. I don't think.
Yeah, pineapple. It all depends on what else you put it with. It's a lot of times I'll do like pepperoni, pineapple, and onion, or like ham, pineapple,
Okay.
or a lot of times when I get pineapple, like I said, it's I don't even know if Papa John's is a thing anymore after all that happened. Let's avoid that topic, but
I
Papa
don't know
John's,
what
in the event
happened.
they still exist.
Was that when I was on the loop? Was
The
that?
owner said some terrible things that the public didn't like, and they lost their NFL deal, and yeah.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Okay.
I think it still exists. I know the ones closest to me closed down.
Oh.
But they used to have, and I assume that the franchises are still out there, they still do, but had a Hawaiian barbecue chicken pizza, which was my go-to, just like garbage pizza. Like, it isn't necessarily good, but it's good for now.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like that. Okay, when it's there, it's good.
There's that
That's
certain level of gluttony that you know you...
so many boogers on pizza.
Let's see, and then somebody asked deep dish or New York style.
Honestly, I like both, but if I am... See, I don't even think Beggars is technically New York style because it's just so much cheese. Like, the cheese to sauce ratio is like a 3-to-1, and like, it's just so good. Like, I don't get to have a lot of cheese during the week, so like, when I'm having pizza, like, they lay it on thick. So, if I were to choose though, I like thin crust better than deep dish, but that's just because it's just because I can eat more thin crust.
Yep.
Like, that's literally the only reason why. But deep dish was still great. But yeah, personally, I like thin crust better.
Yeah, there's no right quantity to order deep dish, especially like living alone most of the time. There's no right quantity. It's like, okay, if I get one of those little like ones about the size of my belly button, like I'll eat that and I'll be like, I need 5 more pizzas.
Right.
But then if I get anything bigger than that, like, oh man, I'm gonna kill this pizza, and halfway through the first slice, I'm just like,
I hate myself. Wait, cheese makes me poo poo. Same. Just kidding.
technically cheese makes everyone poop.
Right.
Let's see here. Any advice for anyone wanting to start training to be a pro wrestler? Wait till this whole thing dies down.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Buzzkit, we're avoiding that topic. We're avoiding that. It was just an easy, not quite joke.
Advice, just what? Okay, you always have good advice. Remember why you started. Like it's hard. I mean, we're not gonna lie to you, right? It's very hard and challenging, but it could be like one of the most fulfilling things about life. Like I always tell people, being in the ring is the only place I ever truly felt like I belonged. And you get like once you surround yourself with like that good group of people, and like we're like a close knit family. Like we battle with each other, but we would go to battle for each other, and that's just that's how family is, and it's amazing. So once you accept that it can break your heart as well as make you the happiest you have ever been, then it you're just rolling from there. So
it's kind of cliche to say do your homework on a school, but find out who's doing the training. Are they someone? Have they ever been anywhere? And I'm not saying somebody's had to have headlined WrestleMania to be a credible trainer. There are some wrestlers that a lot of kids today, I'm aging myself out here, but I'm going to go with an example of somebody who's actually a world-traveling, incredibly accomplished wrestler who's actually going to be part of the next RISE seminar until we had to call it off next week. His name's Rudy Boy Gonzalez out of Texas. And Rudy was actually the trainer chosen by Shawn Michaels to run the Texas Wrestling Academy, which was the Shawn Michaels school that turned out Daniel Bryan. I'm blanking on a lot of the other names of sort of that like early 2000s era, but I'm going to assume most people watching this would know Daniel Bryan. And Rudy was never, to the best of my knowledge, like a major player in like a WWE or WWF or WCW or anything. I know he worked with those companies. I'm not even remotely trying to say anything negative about Rudy's wrestling, but that's somebody, when you do your homework, yes, he's been everywhere. Yes, he's worked with everyone. To me, like my gold standard of wrestling training starts at Tom Pritchard, when you can say like you trained basically everybody that became somebody in WWE between 1996 and 2002 and was in charge of like 2 or 3 different versions of developmental for WWE. He was in charge of developmental before the word developmental existed. And Rudy's somebody that I know Tom either has brought or is about to bring to do camps at Tom's own school that he's opened up in Knoxville. Tom and Kane, Glenn Jacobs, the Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling Academy. But like Rudy's somebody that a lot of people might not necessarily have been like, oh, this match, because a lot of Rudy's matches were a while ago. I'm not trying to be like, oh, yeah, usual. Like, Rudy's been around. He's got a number of years of experience, but he's not necessarily somebody that, like, a casual fan's going to be like, oh, that's, I don't know, Big E Langston or Big E or something. But Rudy's just a wealth of knowledge. Even Tom Pritchard, as huge of a career as he had in virtually every wrestling territory, and was even like a WWE Tag Team Champion in the Body Donnas in the mid-90s with Chris Candido. You don't have to be the guy who's headlining WrestleMania and title matches or anything to be that great trainer. But do enough homework to find out, has anybody else come from that school? Like anybody else that you know is actually out there and working? And just find out where they're going. And like a lot of schools will let you come by and look at a training.
Yeah.
Like we actually had several people since we got to the new facility with Freelance that have kind of done flybys to check it out. And actually a lot of those that end up signing up for training now, like some of the new guys, Russell came in, he did like a flyby and then he ended up signing up. But that's probably boring content.
No, that's
people that only
I did that
Kylie
too. I didn't start like the first day of training. I just came in and watched because and you can gauge, people, we trust our intuitions, and if you have a good feeling about a place, then that's something, again, once you do your research and whatnot, because a lot of us don't know any better. So, like, when you get to get a feel of the place, and even just human beings, we have our own tuition. So, like, if you feel it's a good place, also, like, yeah, if you want to, like, get to know people, ask around, ask questions, see other people's opinions and people who you trust, and yeah, that's great advice. Do your research, because there's so many schools out there, and you can't only just learn from one person. Like there's so much knowledge out there. Go out there and see what works for you, and then take that and basically like make it your own. But yeah, there's just make sure it's a reputable school with a good trainer. Not
every wrestling school is necessarily for you either. And in the greater Chicago area, there are, without even blinking, I can name probably 5 or 6 wrestling schools right now with different trainers. And obviously our allegiance is to Freelance Wrestling Academy because that's where we're tied to. But there's the good things I can say about a lot of the different programs that are out there. But what I will say is we have some students that I will call transplants. Some of them because they moved to Chicago and needed a new school, or some of them maybe they tried those other schools. And again, not trying to discredit those other schools whatsoever. Sometimes, I mean, did you ever have a teacher where you're like, yeah, some people like really connect with that teacher and they got an A in the class, but you're just like, I don't understand what this man's saying, and you fail it or you get a lower grade. Like, right. No teacher is going to be the teacher for everybody. So that's why I recommend kind of checking out a school first if you can, because you can kind of walk in a place and get an idea for like, this man is very mean. He's trying to kill me.
And some people may love that learning style,
yeah.
but you know, that's the good thing about us being able to have our own will and make our own decisions is that's what might work for one person might not work for the next. And yeah, just...
This will be a good one for you. What's the biggest difference from training at ROW and freelance?
Oh, wow. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, but I would say there's a lot of similarities and there's also a lot of differences. And because I was at a different, like I was still. Like, I'm always learning, but I hadn't even had a match yet when I first got to row. So, like, I was just learning. I was just at different stages of my life. So I would say, like, that's a huge difference as well, is just when I was at row, I was still learning, you know, the first day. Like, I still barely know I don't know how to put together a match, but I'm still learning. But then coming back up here and training, I get to see, you know, the people who are first starting out, and it helps me reflect on when I first started, and I just remember like how hard it was for me. So being able to learn through other people and like different beginners, and like I said before, it took me 2.5 years to have a match. So just learning from, I think like the styles are completely different. Like the trainers up here, we have Isaiah, and we have Bryce Benjamin, and like even just the three of you alone here have all completely different styles.
Yep.
And then like the stuff down in Texas is another completely different style. Like especially where we're at with Reality of Wrestling. Like I think a big difference was just pacing alone. Yeah. Like and then like it was definitely focused on like TV style wrestling, which is, you know, it's something that we like strive for, but that I would guess like that was like the main focus. I don't know, I'm rambling right now, but I
think it all boils down, if you take everything you just said, it's perspectives.
Yeah.
Everybody in I'll steal a Tom Pritchard line, like there's like you have your way, I have mine, stop looking for the right way because it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Like on a reasonably regular basis, you train with any combination of Bryce Benjamin, aka Jesus Bryce, Isaiah Velasquez, and me. If you went down to Texas and like did a loop or something, you're going to train with like Gino and Booker T. And I forget what. There's another one of the guys that's doing hands-on training at Booker's now. I'm blanking on his name.
Right. Well, there's a couple of people there.
Yeah, well, there's like there's several, but Gino's the only one that I know, like off the top of my head, does the advanced classes. There may be something that I tell you in Chicago that you're just like confused puppy at a little bit, but then you go down to Gino and maybe, oh yeah, hey, in Chicago, Kevin said this, like, oh yeah, the way I look at that, it's kind of like how when you're a kid, your mom might say something to you, and you like don't do it, but then your dad asks you to do the same thing and you do it right away. Right. And they're just like, I said the exact same thing. Well, sometimes it's in how you package it.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like when I first started training up here, I was the only female in the class. Yeah. So I was like, I wasn't able to base for stuff, so I was like giving a lot of moves, but not necessarily learning how to give them always, because I wasn't able to lift a lot of people. And then as soon as I got down to Booker's, like they had that, there were so many more women, and we were having like a night of specifically women. So I was starting to learn how to base for people and work with women, and then coming back up here now, there's so many girls, and it's cool to see like how it's transitioned over time. And
even right now at Freelance, we've got what 4 or 5 that are like regular rotation, and then we may see Lainey Luck pop in, we may see Hyan pop in, we may see some others like passersby, like in the past when Shotzi's been staying with me for extended periods, or Delilah Doom's been here a couple of times. Like that's basically the school that they all go to when we're here.
Which is cool, because then we could all learn from each other, and I don't know. I like learning. I like to learn.
Is Bryce really as insane in real life as he seems to be? Bryce Benjamin.
I don't know I don't think he's insane at all. I think he's an amazing person, but like, what's your definition of insane? I guess that's what.
Yes, he does try the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, right. He's great. He's had a huge influence on my career. He's stuck his neck out for me countless times. You'll be somebody to vouch for him as well. I think he's one of the most underrated people in professional wrestling.
All right, let's see here, guys. I think we've been on a ramble here. We might save some of these questions or scroll back through it. You wanted to see it, and I think I've got it loaded up right. You guys wanted us to add one more match. Well, we've actually got 3 more matches.
We'll see how much we get to.
But we are going to dive into now the first matchup from the Rise co-promote with Reality of Wrestling, Row on the Rise. This was an episode of Rise Ascent. The first matchup between Kylie Rae and Mercedes Martinez.
Yes.
Tonight's your night. Tonight you get to face Mercedes Martinez for the Phoenix of Rise Championship. I know I almost brought it home to us when I faced Tessa Blanchard, but I came up short. But
we're going to start that over again.
Bring it home for us, okay?
Brandon, you're just the best. Like, you opened
do
me up.
Do over. Kylie Mercedes 1.
Tonight's your night. Tonight you get to face Mercedes Martinez for the Phoenix of Rise Championship. I almost brought it home to us when I faced Tessa Blanchard, but I came up short. But you got this. I'm rooting for you. So bring it home for us, okay?
Brandon, you're just the best. Like, you always gas me up. And I'm like, I love you. Thank you so much. I'm going to do this. Tonight is my night, and I'm bringing it home for us. You got this.
That little seed planted from Miranda. I almost brought it home for us, but maybe you can't now.
Yeah. Look at that.
Tonight is the night where moments are to be made. But Kylie Rae, tonight is not your moment. It is the moment of the definition of excellence to ruin your career.
So angry. With the mentions.
This everybody talks about the no rope submission match, and rightfully they should, because it's a freaking awesome match. But I love this match as a standalone. But we couldn't have had that no rope submission match without this match.
Right.
That would have just been they're fighting with no ropes because why? Like, we had to have a story, we had to have a hook. And here's some inside baseball for you guys going into this show. Do you remember what you told me not that long before this match on this day in this building? Knowing where we were going?
No, I probably told you a lot. So what in specific?
Yeah, Kevin, because I hadn't told Kylie in as many words, like, hey, yeah, we're moving the title to you at Legendary in this no rope match, but it was like writing was on the wall, like, okay, we're doing this main event. Eventually, babyfaces generally overcome the heel and such, and we were definitely known to be going that way. And you were like, Kevin, basically telling me, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to do shows anymore. And what you guys will actually see in the next match when we go into the no rope submission only match. And I think whether we told you that much of it or not, I think part of you knew, like, Jimmy and I were putting a lot of thought into, okay, how do we build this like grand moment of Kylie Rae, babyface wins hometown championship? And you were basically trying to find a tactful way of like, not supposed to say
I
anything,
know,
but I kind of have to tell them because they're building like the promotions championship around me and main events and things. And I remember a little bit after this, Jimmy and I were sitting down looking at like what we mapped out. It's not like we had all the shows written, but we had kind of a little roadmap of, okay, so where Kylie's going, Delilah, Shotzi, so on and so forth, Death Machines. And it came down to, I told Jimmy, I said, because we had about 6 months-ish worth of Kylie gets the title, then Miranda would eventually turn on Kylie. We would basically tell the story, like the story of Miranda Alizé is loosely based on Jan Brady. Everything's about Kylie. I told Jimmy, I said, you know what, I really like what we have on paper, and I think we do it all in one night.
Yeah, it was,
It was
many
like,
storylines in one. Yes, it was a lot, but it was fun. Like that.
It was
it
a
got the
roller
point
coaster.
Yeah.
Like, but we did 6 months in 33 minutes. It was something. Roller coaster. The big part of me was like, to me, the most important part of the story of this match going into the next match and then the aftermath, even if nothing else changed, was the hometown crowd got to see the hometown girl hit the like pinnacle. We see her go from a seminar hopeful who lost her first couple of matches with some more veteran talent, and then now look at her, she's the queen of the world, and this big beautiful pop moment. And we were able to do that, blow up this nice big balloon that then Miranda Alizé comes in and pops. Yeah, it was a lot of moving parts.
It's just so many like talented wrestlers. Like that, it was just high caliber. It was so much fun. I know I say stuff is a lot of fun, but I can't help it. Like,
I love this.
a little too cocky.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to put the little talking heads window on this. Oh well, people can just deal with our commentary. We're still here, I promise.
Fine. And I remember even like this match and then the no rope submission match. Like, I'm not the most technical wrestler by any means, so the amount of training that went into that, especially with having an opponent like Mercedes Martinez, like, you gotta bring your A game.
Well, you spent a lot of extra time with Quinn, didn't you?
Yeah.
Going into this one. For people listening, again, when we're talking about, okay, do your research on trainers. If you don't know the name Kevin Quinn, Chicago guy, actually had a huge hand in the Steel Domain Wrestling Academy training Punk, Cabana, Eric Priest, Ricky Noga, a lot of guys, Jay Bradley, a lot of guys who are kind of like the who's who of the Chicago scene the last 20 years or so. And Quinn was tied to the then Purgatory Wrestling School, sort of the precursor to Freelance Wrestling Academy. And man, I'll tell you, I every time I talk to Quinn, I take something away from it.
Yeah, he's like, I've never met anyone like him, to be honest. He knows so much, like just so much knowledge. He helped me with this, the submission match, the no rope submission match. He's helped me since like the day I moved back here. Like the first time I met him, he was just, you'd have to talk to him in order to understand. But one of the first conversations I had with him, it made me want to. I was still wrestling, but it made me want to do better, like, for him, because he just cares so much about this business and, like, the people in it, so.
To this day, I still send him your matches,
For
like,
real?
after they're done, because I know he wants to watch them. In fact, I think when you told me, hey, I think I'm going to train with Quinn a little bit, I'm pretty sure I sent him this match that we're watching now, so that he could have an idea of kind of the story that was being told.
He's so great. Yeah.
And you're always the last to give yourself credit on anything. Like, I am not technical like that. You're more technical than you give yourself credit for.
Never give myself credit.
Like, here's a little, I'm going to tell you a little story. One time there was a girl who had a match with Mercedes Martinez, one of the best women's technical wrestlers on the face of the earth in Texas. By the way, it was you. Like, look at it. Not everybody can hang with Mercedes on this kind of stuff. I've seen matches where people can hang, and I've seen matches where Mercedes has to work a little bit harder to make it look like someone can hang. And you're hanging in this. And I don't mean like by the neck.
Right? Thank you for clarifying.
And Mercedes, also known for chops.
So great. Prozac. Yes, they were brutal. They were very brutal. She's got some good chops. I'm like getting inspired just watching this. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for putting all this on.
Yeah, and this was the one we didn't even have in there. This is the midstream bonus round. Very literal, midstream.
I wonder how many people like forget about this match and think like the no ropes match was.
Well, a lot of people, in fact, some that I've seen interacting in the chat room, I know that their first exposure to Rise, either on pay-per-view or a live show, was that legendary show in that match. And that was really what hooked a lot of people on. Because I can tell you, a lot of people, we had our Pride show last year, and a huge amount of people, like over 1/3 of the crowd, were people who told us like we never felt safe to come to a wrestling show before because we didn't feel like we were represented or there were people like us. And I found we had like roughly 1/3 who'd never been to wrestling before, about 1/3 who it was their first Rise show, and a good chunk of that remaining third was people who discovered Rise around the time of the No Ropes match at Legendary.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was kind of that storytelling was as much as we had to be like, okay, goodbye for now, Kylie Rae. Instead of letting that be some big moment of like bummer, we ended up cementing a lot of new personas that night for who would, I hate to be so grandiose, but like who would carry the torch from there?
No, but still, like that's truly what it means, because like one of the quotes, one of the sayings, we were just a spoke on the wheel, and like wrestling's always going to be there, and who we pass down, it's always about the next generation, and we always got to give back because they're the ones who are going to lead the way for even future generations. And it's, sorry, I'm getting in my feels now, but she's what
Here's the tissue. Kick your face!
I don't think I'd ever done before. I have no moves. I'm sorry. It's blatant.
It's called the charity case because they have to give you something.
Right. Just like,
I love, have you gone up for the first Spring Anew thing? I don't think you have yet. There's a part in this match where it's like a statement and answer part of the match where you go up, you basically run the ropes to do a spring off arm drag, but she just completely F's you off.
Yeah, that happened. Good times.
I love little stuff like that in a match where we can call back to it. And this is about to the point where this match just kind of goes from a match into a fight. I love this, and here's a good example of those statement and echoes. So that missed cannonball, keep that in mind, like, okay, yep, we missed the cannonball, it sucks, it's made her vulnerable. Mercedes to the outside, and long-term storytelling, we're telling way more than just the story of this match. Everything about this match is set to set the table for Legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you look at the body parts Mercedes is working over, the holds that she's working over.
My back. I broke my back.
It's funny.
What do you mean, like a vertebrae? Spinal? Sorry, okay, I'm done.
I love that, by complete accident, your bow has made some dramatic moments even more dramatic.
Right. When it flings off.
Like it got all the love in the Double or Nothing match when Baker super kicks you and it just like falls out. The same thing happened a couple months before though when Zoe Scorpion kicks you to like ruin Christmas and steal the title. Your bow completely does the like dramatic fall out of the hair, and it's hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, like somebody up there loves me because I don't plan that. Like I always give people permission. I'm like, if you want to just take it off, throw it at me, like that's fine. And then somehow it stays on throughout the match, and then it just, hey, but that's part of it. Like there's one picture of me like this when I'm getting super kicked with the bow just in the air. I love it.
It's magic. It's the magic of pro wrestling.
Can't plan those moments, right?
Yeah.
It's organic.
You can't manufacture moments. You can only travel in their general direction.
Right.
One of my just favorite little things about the way this all worked out, this match spilling into the no rope match, is by the time we got to Legendary, the world knew like you were off to AEW. Like the Las Vegas press conference had happened. You had your little like pocket dress you were really excited about.
I like that when dress had pockets.
So like if you go by like Wrestling 101, it's, oh gee, who's gonna win the match? The person who's known publicly to be contracted to a major company and this is pretty much their last show, or the woman who's, to the best of our knowledge, not signed anywhere, who's probably going to still be here after tomorrow. And the two of you were able to, between this and that match, well, I'll get back to that after this. I love this spot.
Correct.
You did. You both did.
Correct.
But, where was, oh yeah, so it's a match where I think a lot of people, whether they were saying it outright or not.
I'm back. Sorry.
But we essentially took a room of like, however, it was well north of 300. I forget the exact number, but over 300 people that all probably, quote, knew that Mercedes was going to win. And I think that just made that moment so much more meaningful. It's like, oh, holy, like we took a whole room full of people that thought there was no way Kylie's probably going to win, but still invested in, there's still a lot to sink their teeth into. And then when they get that result, it's just like, wait, what? I think it just made it that much more impactful.
So great.
That's a legit back sell right there, too, isn't it?
She said nope. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Orange Cassidy is another one who I just phenomenal. Sorry, I like that part. So great, the pin, right?
The kick out's really good there too. I really like the kick out, taking all the so much energy it took you ass over tea kettle, but then you're like spent after you did that, but not dead. There's still life in you. There always has to be some life left in the good guy. Here we go. What up, Regal?
Yeah, right. That's another good submission. And this was our first time being in the ring together.
Yeah.
We did the seminar. I had taken her seminar. I think she had previously put me in one submission before that. But yeah, that was legit the first time. She's just so good. Like this, she makes people in the ring better. Like that's how good she is.
Well, when you look at the complications of having a match with no ropes, you girls didn't get any time in a ring with no ropes.
Yeah.
You had to even think through hypotheticals of, if this rope wasn't here, maybe we could do this. Like, there's a lot of unknown in that match. There was a lot of your face in the match just then. Splat.
Yeah, it's not like we can be like, hey, let's take off all these ropes really quick. So we...
There it is. There's that callback. Back to the well, but not too many times. Super kick!
So good. The way she sold that just... Oh, so good. Who would have thought? Was this main event?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Who would have thought? I remember I would always the first time I ever made a event at a show was with Delilah, and we cried because it was unheard of, and that's the great thing about Rise too is it just gives women a place to have opportunities like this.
Hang tight, guys. I'm going to try to turn off the dings, but I can only do it with a voice command from where I'm at.
I was saying it's not mine, is it?
Turn on Do Not Disturb. There we go.
That submission.
There's a great moment.
Seriously.
Listen to Kevin voice command his computer because there's too much crap on the screen to tell. The condo clutch. This is such good storytelling from the two of you. I love it so much.
This is getting me, like, I'm loving this match, and I'm like, this is getting me even more excited to watch the next match, too.
And to me, that was one of the most key things. I remember talking to girls backstage was as you came down, being close enough to, like, is she tapping, or was the rope in the way preventing the tap, or did she grab it by intent? Like, there's just enough there to where it's like, because your finger caught the rope on there, but you got it.
Because you didn't trap the leg, Kylie. That's. I'm just kidding.
There we go. Case that charity.
Martinez trying to roll. She's still got the crossface since then.
Is this it?
Martinez reaching for the rope. Rope saver. She's got the rope for leverage.
Ah, Isaac.
Maybe I should 1, 2, 3 you. That's my favorite Miranda line possibly ever. Maybe I should 1, 2, 3 you. We're actually about to see that on this. Maybe I should 1, 2, 3 you as she like whips a water bottle at him, wildly misses, but he's still afraid of it. So yeah, that's just the way you girls put that match together. Like it's you probably would have tapped, but the rope was there. She probably would have tapped, but the rope was there. And then she uses the ropes to cheat. Those ropes were a big factor.
Get him out. Get him out of there.
Such a fun. Though the no ropes match gets all the love, I still contend like that match cannot happen without this match happening first.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. You know
Like,
what
you
you
can write
doing,
down
Kevin.
You can write down steel cage match in 2 names, but is there a reason we're locking them in a cage like animals? I don't know why I felt the need to vince that up. Like animals. Alright, let's it comes
Sorry.
up. Or are you cold now? You're not
Just a
hitting out
little.
anymore?
I know, I'm not warmed up.
I'll turn the heater on.
Oh, shit.
Subtle storytelling. Why is Miranda there? What up, superstar?
It's gonna lead into.
Yeah, you're fine. Notice how Miranda isn't touching Mercedes right now. There's a hesitation. There's no contact
She
with Miranda
looking.
and Mercedes. That's what we call seed planting, folks. Miranda came out after having, now we didn't show, there were some backstage interactions on the episodes kind of leading into this where Mercedes was just saying, superstar.
My best friend. My best friend.
The Wily Smileys. Maybe I should 1, 2, 3 you. We're about to see that. I love that. I love how she whips the water bottle at no one, and it's still scary.
That was awesome. That was awesome. You had it. You were so close. You were so close. If she didn't grab the rope, you know, stupid breath. So close. Oh, I can't. Hey, you. What are you doing out there? Are you glasses? You need glasses? My girl got screwed over because of you. I don't know who.
I just saw the shoulders down. 1, 2, 3. That was it.
You know, I think my girl should 1, 2, 3 you. I should 1, 2, 3 you. Whoa, whoa, look at that fire, superstar. Cálmate, manita, cálmate. I like it.
Casual Rachel
What's the
Ellering.
matter? You need someone to speak for you? Why? Because I took your moments? I told you I was. You had an opportunity and you lost it. Like you do in everything.
When you know Kylie was mad.
You know what? Congrats, Martinez.
Congrats. You know, you showed the entire world that you're a piece of shit. Piece of shit? Was your moment. Is that all you got? That was my moment.
You know, I think you are 2 of the best women wrestlers in the world. You're the champion of the company.
That's right, champion. Remember that.
And you know I believe in you just as much as any of the future generation here. And you both have an argument.
Notice how I
Ropes
didn't
there.
say shit
She
about
might not have
Miranda.
pinned you. ropes were
You're
thick,
the
she might have
best.
broken the blanket
So are
very
you.
much.
And Miranda's also.
So you know what? March
She didn't
29th,
include all
we
of
take
it.
the ropes.
But that was by design, so she could eventually like call that
Legendary.
and be like, this company
Mercedes
never looked at
Martinez,
me. We could
Kylie
pull
Rae,
this video clip down,
no
just that
rope
little bit
submission
down.
match.
Maybe Michael should go to you.
Just
Question
like,
is, can you?
Like, how fun is that?
I forgot that I
Let's,
said that.
go back to Kevin, Kylie, and Stu.
Okay, I think we have time for one more, which will be let's do the no ropes.
Yep, finish.
100, okay.
End the book here. All right, so yeah, somebody had asked on that one, was Miranda a heel or a face? At that point, Miranda was very much a baby face. Miranda's first match in Rise was basically a hero's effort and kind of getting a nod from Saraya Knight. It was actually at Rise 5 where that was both Miranda's debut and Kylie's debut. Put them together as a tag team because of the common bond of reality of wrestling, some Texas girls, woohoo, yeehaw, etc., etc. And then, she was just the wily Latina firecracker, and you had Smiley Kylie Rae, and that's where it kind of went. And they were a tag team. They were in the first tag title match. Kind of came this close to the titles, but this was the casual telling or a gradual telling of Miranda, and that's a whole soapbox where we could probably do that. Let's face it, we all have the time lately. That's probably another Twitch stream for another time. And I've actually talked to Miranda. I think she has some interest in doing one of these. We'll just have to do it remotely with Skype or something like that. So let's see, were there any other questions here? That
Maybe
bottle.
I should 1, 2, 3 you.
All right. Kylie said piece of shit. She did. That's how you knew it was.
Sorry, I was mad.
But that's just one more thing that added a little fuel to this fire. It's like people hadn't seen Kylie be angry. People hadn't seen Kylie like swear. So it was bringing out a different side of Kylie that we're about to see right now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Are you all ready?
All right. The main event of Legendary, plus a video package at the beginning. Mercedes Martinez, Phoenix of Rise, defends against Smiley Kylie Rae in a no-rope submission-only match.
Oh. I forgot I wanted to drink. Who did you say did the packaging again? Because it wasn't it?
This video we're watching now is actually me. The opening videos for our pay-per-views that actually had like much fancier than this video openings, that was actually done by Eric Tompkins, who's now like head of pretty much all production for Impact Wrestling.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember, but they always look so great, like the music.
Yeah, this was one where it's just we had to do so many that, and I honestly couldn't afford to pay Eric to make all those packages, so I had to take on a couple of these myself. So he did the pay-per-view open, and then I did all the little like buffer ones like this.
Damn, Kevin, dynamic, a man of many hats,
A man who never sleeps.
a man who never sleeps. That's fair.
At least at the time I didn't. I've been sleeping lately. All right. Here's a story in and of itself. How happy does like one roll of streamers make you?
Over the top. Like I can't. That was always one of my dreams because we gotta have dreams. I always wanted streamers. Like I always am this. I was like genuinely crying. My heart. Oh, look at all that.
So not counting the rolls that are clearly like different colors that some fans brought on their own, Rise provided 200 rolls of streamers. And then there were a lot of... Listen to that chant.
I was just so happy. Dude, I love, like... I can't say this enough about the fans. And just a lot of places I've had the privilege of meeting a ton of, like, so many of you. I'm biased. I'm from Chicago. I know we... well, you're from Michigan, right?
Right.
But being here
I've
now...
been here 18
right,
years.
Exactly. So... It's something about wrestling in Chicago. It's just like, there's nothing like this. There was an aura about this night. Like it was packed. But look, you can literally see people standing
What's weird is we actually had more people in the building in November.
Really?
Based on ticket sale, unless maybe that people that bought tickets didn't show up, but looking at just the ticket sales, it was like 20 or 30 more. But yeah, this one again, it's that aura, like, and we also sold a lot more standing room. This was before we kind of changed the GA seating a little bit in the Eagles Club. I love these the ring announcements are key here. I want to lay out so people can hear it. If you hear Josh's ring announcement, it just makes the first contact with this match so fun.
Fun fact, also the bow that I have is from Roxy. Roxy and her mom. Such a sweetheart.
There are no rope breaks.
Who's president? Trip and fall. So great. Never turn your back to your opponent, Kylie. Dang it!
The match hasn't started yet.
I didn't look into that.
So great.
Spoiler for something coming up, but it's just hard not to like Kylie Rae inherently as a wrestling character, because who else in pro wrestling can you think of that would get away from actually like encasing herself inside of streamers, not unlike a turtle hiding in its shell, which it's happening a little bit right here, which you kind of can't see because of our talking head box, but there's a point shortly after this where you were literally just like cocoon yourself in the streamers.
Don't hit me.
It's like, who else could win a ladder match on a tickle spot?
Right, yeah.
But you did it. Anybody else would have been booed out of the building. You were cheered like a hero.
Oh my gosh, so great. Just a huge mound of streamers.
And I know everybody watching at home can't hear a lot of the commentary, kind of by design of this chat, so we don't get too much like wacky audio. But a lot of what AK and Veda say on the commentary of this match is very true. Like, there's a volatility to this match. The ring ropes actually hold the ring together.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do a ton of crazy stuff because the ring, the boards, the pads, everything will shift. Plus, working on the fly, a lot of times like, oh, shoot me off. Well, you can't shoot them off because they will die.
You really gotta get creative in these kind of matches.
Nothing to hang on to, like nothing. I think we're about to the protective cocoon spot. The mocking, just little details from Mercedes. Well, that's the freelance, a lot of freelance crowd there up the top of the stairs.
Oh,
Using the ropes?
already.
How dangerous that could be.
So Mercedes almost won it with that condo clutch, so she's already going back to the parts of the body affected by the condo clutch.
To the edge, using that edge. Which I mean, she could have
I just want to say the cocoon. I thought it was hiding. So unnecessary. It reminds me of those, like, the big leaves. Like, just, oh no, she got me. Like, did you think it was going to work? Oh, my heart.
It reminds me of a scene in this, like, there was a lesser-known Star Wars made-for-TV movie, The Ewok Adventure, and in that, there's, like, a giant monster, and one of the Ewoks finds this, like, it's a handbasket to, like, this giant monster, but to an Ewok, it's like a little igloo. So the Ewok, like, throws himself inside of it, and the giant monster's watching the basket right across the floor. It's like, everything's normal.
Right, I wonder where he's at.
My enemy couldn't possibly be in that basket skirting across the floor. So going into the, like, what kind of stuff is a wrestler's going through your mind, and the day leading up to it, or like the days, weeks leading up to it? Because you talked about like up in training on like hand-to-hand technical kind of stuff with Quinn, but this is this wasn't a slow pitch. This wasn't exactly like, hey, you're gonna wrestle Mercedes in a main. Like, this is a main with a gimmick match with a story. Like, what was kind of your thought process this whole time?
Oh, I was terrified. I know I get very nervous for basically all my matches, but this was like days, even weeks before. Like, I was terrified because I don't know about everyone else, but I always want to give my opponent, the fans, and the company a good match. So I tend to put like a lot of pressure on myself to the point where it's almost like detrimental because I'm worried about getting enough sleep, getting enough rest, because I work myself up so much because I put that amount of pressure on myself. But I just, like, that's why I do this. It's a big reason why I wrestle. I care about wrestling so much, and you know, like, you've done so much for me. Mercedes has helped me so much, and like I'm nothing without the fans. Like, we're nothing without, like, legit. We wouldn't have anybody to wrestle in front of if they weren't there. So like making sure we put on a good match for them and for you, and I'm so critical of myself. I mean, you obviously hear it now. I'm like, oh, I'm not good at anything, but like, it's the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves, and I don't know if everybody else is like that, but I know I'm very, very critical to the point if like one little thing gets messed up, like I lose sleep over stuff like that. So that's why I said I was like, I cringe watching my matches because I'm just so critical. But like, I don't know, leading up to this match, it was the training, it was the clean eating. Like, as you can tell, I notice it, like the strength that it takes, just being with any opponent, like whether your opponent is smaller than you, bigger than you, you always want to be on your A game. So like taking care of ourselves, like I was getting massages like probably weekly, going to the chiropractor, lifting. That was at a time when I was lifting more than I was.
There's
ever
that
lifting.
Quinn training, right?
Yeah.
That is a Kevin Quinn ass move if I ever saw it. I learned that from Kevin
Right,
Quinn.
I 100% learned that from him, and I think these, like, we were going over transitions like so much because that was the point of the match. It was a submission match, and yeah, my finisher was a submission, but see, like, that alone, like I didn't know a lot other than the crossface. So kudos, like, yeah, he helped me. Another transition, Kevin Quinn, thank you. I'm telling you, I reached out to so many different sources, just like I needed help, and like
this is a good spot here too.
Yeah.
Why fight a hold when you can just drop a bitch on the ground?
Oh gosh. Like we were. I would work her any day of the week. Like, I'd love to get in there with her again. Yeah. She's so good. She's just.
This was one of those. This pairing was one of those where it was just like two very special personalities and two people who, taking wrestling out of it, mean the world to me in a lot of different ways beyond anything it has to do in front of a ring or in a ring in front of a camera. And two people, even in my own opinion, if I weren't promoting wrestling, that I would watch all day long, in terms of like Mercedes Martinez is this technical, expert, veteran presence, just in command of every situation. Like, she's a threat in every situation she's in a wrestling ring. Kylie Rae, she's just happy to be here, and she'll try her hardest, and even if she doesn't win, you're going to be behind her in those moments that she does happen to lose, because you know she just tried real hard and was so damn happy to be there. And I just lucked out in that combination of human beings had never happened in front of anyone else's cameras before. It was dumb luck, yeah. And again, this, throwing it back to the collarbone like we talked about, as shitty and as awful as that whole collarbone in Japan situation was, this would have never happened.
Yeah, I agree. It's so wild to think about, like something so, so negative, something that was so painful, and then like look at what comes out of it. Because that's, I think, a big reason why fans even started to, like, at least some fans started to even care about me, was because they saw, I mean, you saw it, like, all the work I was putting in to come back from that injury.
Hell, we had a couple of video packages that we did that was just like, keep smiling, Kylie Rae. And I had you send me those Instagram, like, gym videos where you're still in the makeshift sling, not even the like shirt tied around. Yeah, collarbone's broken, but I can still do kettlebell squats.
Right. I can use the one arm, and then it's fine.
Yeah, that video pack, I probably don't have it super easily available, ready to go, but that was one where if you guys ever, if it's in some of the episodes that led up to this on our streaming platforms here on Twitch and at riseofkylie.com. But the video package was like, it cuts to an x-ray of like a horribly broken collarbone. That's not like a Google image, that's legit her x-ray.
Yeah. It's like about to pierce through my skin. Like I think the doctor said it was like a centimeter away from piercing through my skin.
Looking at that and having seen a lot of bad breaks and x-rays and things, I don't know how it didn't come through.
Yeah.
This is one of the most Kylie things that ever happened in front of a crowd too.
Oh, yeah,
the guardrail just popped out.
Yeah, and then I think it also helps like Rise being located in Chicago, all the Chicago fans, like being from Chicago, it's a very proud city. Like we take care of our own. We want to see like the hometown. Anybody who's like, we're supportive.
Oh, Mercedes has it by the hair.
Sorry, I'm biased.
No, but it's like I tell people this in training all the time. The way you wrestle in Chicago is probably going to be different from how you wrestle in New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, these different wrestling hotbeds or different regions. There's stuff that I could think of a wrestler doing in the Memphis territory that wouldn't even remotely work in Philadelphia. I'd be like, that's bullshit right there.
Right.
I don't know why Philly has the southern accent.
Sorry, man. They might. Yeah, like a lot of the stuff that I do here, like I wouldn't be able to do anywhere else. Like that's some of the stuff I do, it's kind of heelish. Especially like nowadays, but
there's that Kondo clutch, another callback. She almost won the title, but now there's no ropes.
Oh, now she has Mercedes. It's basically a kilo.
Yeah.
Or maybe an arm bar. I can't really
First time you've ever thrown straight punches in a match that I recall there, too.
Because they're usually bad. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. But no, this
Thanks to the good
yeah.
camera work of Mike Rhodes, we couldn't see how bad the
Exactly.
punches were.
Exactly. He helps me out.
elbows to the neck. Mercedes is out of it. Now she's gonna make Kylie pay.
Sleeper thing about Rise that I'd love to put over here, in addition to the two people in the ring, though the situation also kind of came out of like crappy circumstances to create it, the combination of Allison Kay and Veda Scott on commentary, we sort of lucked our way into or fell into it. Allison Kay, around the time of Rise 7, she shared this publicly, but she had some very personal health issues that involved blood clots and I believe her lung. But it was questionable if she would ever wrestle again. And I told her, look, I want to keep you involved. Like, you're important. There's other ways you can contribute. And I love that. Pitch the idea of commentary. And we've had a lot of different perspectives to commentary. But in a perfect world, if it could work out every time, I love the dynamic of Veda Scott and Allison Kay. Number one, it's entertaining. They play well off each other. They're both well-spoken, but at the same time, they know how to add to the match and not be, oh, let me tell a joke that is putting myself over, not the wrestlers in the ring. Like, they get it. And on top of that, there's an element that I do like from the standpoint of, yeah, it's a women's commentary team. At the time, we were an exclusively, other than occasional male guest stars, exclusively women's promotion.
Right.
And Veda may be the only person ever who called only woman ever to call an entire pay-per-view by herself. She did the November show by herself.
Which they don't talk, like, people might think commentary is easy. It's not by any means. It's one of the most challenging things, even if you have 2-3 people. So I could only imagine doing it by yourself, especially for an entire pay-per-view. That's, yeah. Kudos. And it's
even just trying to take a drink of water. It's dead air.
It's like, sorry.
Oh, here we go. So some meta here. Mercedes, a lot of her fans will know, actually has had multiple surgeries on her shoulders. In fact, that's part of the reason she took a little sabbatical from like 2014 to 2016. And I love this. I love this. Was that Mercedes that put that? I remember hearing you girls trying to work that out when the ropes were still on the ring.
We're like, how can we do this? She's so innovative too.
Mercedes is on the floor now.
Oh, no.
Oh!
This is honestly one of my top 5 favorite matches. Probably top 3.
Yeah, it's probably the top of your body of work that I have seen. Oh, this is the most one of the more Kylie things ever. Mercedes eats the rail.
You know, it's not often that we see Kylie this angry. No.
Huh?
Oh, she's gonna put the guardrail back. That's the type of person she is.
That's the type of person she is. Very true.
She's trying to help.
And you can see though, she doesn't have the strength that she always had. She's still
Like, this is the first we've seen Kylie kind of go this far in Rise, at least, if not your career to this point, but definitely in Rise.
Call back to toss in, rolls out of the ring. Hey, why does your back always hurt? Oh. I wonder why. I forget how much I loved this match. Like, I always knew I loved it. But like,
Have you watched this one since it happened?
yes.
Because I know I would have sent it to you.
Yeah.
Some people never watch their stuff.
I always try to because I know how much it sucks to watch and it's cringeworthy, but it makes us better. Like, even just the way, for example, like selling. Like, yeah, I always try to watch my matches. Or seeing, like, what works, or, like, if stuff gets translated, or, you know.
Or is your selling purport, does the punishment fit the crime, and does it fit where you're at in the match? Like, you can't sell the same way that you are now after one shot.
Right.
Like, you're just this side of lifeless. Like, there's still life in the old girl after all, but you can't sell that very first belt shot like that in this match. You got to sell it seriously because she hits you with a big damn gold plate in the back of the head. But
right off the bat. But still having enough energy to fight back. And
this is really where the whole roller coaster of this show just really takes off. So much happens in like the next, I don't know, I can't see a time, so it's probably like a 12-minute window here.
Right.
She is really suffering in that. You can see it in her face.
Just admittedly completely manipulating everybody in the room, making the thing that nobody thought possible actually happen, immediately taking that away from them. A new champion, a new top heel in the company.
Mercedes let it go.
And plus, these girls are here.
Right, by the way, so much happens after this. The real MVP of this match is Kylie Turbo. Yep. This one was a clip, so I think that's why it stayed in. Oh my gosh. You're done for. You're done for.
That move is one of those that's not pleasant. You want to know how you take that move? You bend over in a really uncomfortable position and you pray for life afterwards. Ooh, bendy.
Right.
It's a very adequate description.
Oh my gosh. Yo, wild. Almost heard. How else do you fight out of that?
Something that I love in pro wrestling that happens in this match is those moments where you clearly hear the audio on entrances and everything of like the music of the entrance and everything. And generally you hear it at the finish. This is one where the crowd's so loud you don't even hear the music for the first several seconds after the finish of the match. And like our main audio is probably coming from the camera on the stage, which is like right next to the speakers. And that just says something about how much this match meant to the fans that were there. That Chicago crowd.
Uh-huh.
Here we go. Buckle up.
So great.
Hang on, little hair bone.
She tried her hardest, but this is Mercedes Martinez.
I'm way too invested right now, but I can't help it. I'm like...
It's good shit.
Just like the last match.
There's no pins. No pins. That was out of instinct, and Mercedes says no. But it
What's
prevented
gonna
her
happen?
from getting hit with that fish hairy shrimp. Oh!
Just death.
That's super kick. And now both women on the ground.
That's a mood.
Here lies Kylie.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure I was actually crying. Those weren't deep breaths. I was just crying.
How many times did you pee your pants in this movie?
Let's see, probably one. There's usually a minimum of one per.
I figured the Death Valley Driver probably would have been the one.
That usually does the trick.
That is like your signature pee a little bump. This is actually a callback to Mercedes and Tessa here because Mercedes ended up playing the long game and winning it with a largely on-the-run strategy in the last few minutes.
She needs to stay on her. She needs to put her. She's going for that. She's going for the charity case. Mercedes rolls through. There it is. This could be it. We might have a new Phoenix of Rise champion. Is Mercedes gonna tap? Mercedes rolls through, but Kylie keeps on. That's it! We have a new champion!
I love how the crowd went way down, thinking, oh, we're gonna keep going. What was that swerve we were hoping for? And, Kylie's music was playing, I think, right now. Yeah.
We have a new Phoenix of Rise champion!
I'm still holding on, barely.
Mercedes Martinez, what a match!
Oh, my word.
From some legit Kylie crying.
Alright!
I'm not totally crying.
Oh, the bow hasn't even had its MVP moment yet. It's about to.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love it so much. I love it too. Yay! Oh, best friend. Just wait.
Yeah, no, these two have been friends for a long time.
Easter egg. Watch how the belt flies here in a second.
Alright, how are you gonna jump on her when she just got her
Good job, Vita.
Good point, baby. How are you gonna jump on your girl when she just got her leg? So good. Man.
Okay. Awesome. Congratulations, Kylie.
Trusting you.
I'm gonna have you one.
Trust no one.
I thought she was just jumping at her for another hug.
I thought she was just.
Rain is a good evil laugh.
Why?
Alright.
What? Oh my
So
god!
good.
What does Miranda have to gain from this? Clearly she's jealous.
I'm getting some seed planting
Kylie
here.
have her moment here.
Mercedes and
She's a
Miranda.
self-proclaimed superstar. Mercedes is coming back to help Kylie. Well, that's unlike Mercedes. Mercedes says she is the only one that's going to beat Kylie Rae's ass tonight.
Not at her.
Right?
Now. This was planting a little because we knew there was more story with Miranda. So like I said, we had 6 months worth of stuff in there. We just had to hit fast forward.
We're not. That's like part 2 of the story, right? Part 3. We still got a few more.
That's not a really fun celebration for the champion.
The little girl. Oh my
For the new
word.
champion.
She's like, oh.
Is the whole crowd real?
What is going on?
Is the British fans in the front row? Or something?
Go home.
She's great. Oh my gosh.
30 women.
29, but who's counting? Did Zoe have that bow, or did you give her that bow?
No, I think she had that.
Nice little touch.
Right?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, I knew that. I just assumed it would be like a future
The roller
Rise
coat,
event.
The cheers of the big win, the boos of the villain. Oh no, another villain. It's up, it's down.
Screwed. Roll out. Roll out.
No, it's my belt.
This is insane, man.
Won it.
Kylie isn't even. Is there a way to got his hair ribbon? She hasn't even gotten to her feet yet.
Agreed.
Kylie has to get to her feet.
Keep your eyes on the
Best
bow.
heel in any company.
Keep your eyes on the bow, folks. It's fought valiantly for about 29 minutes.
Zoe is just. Oh my gosh, she is just seething. Scorpion kick by Zoe Lucas. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Even I can't watch this.
I kind of wish we would have had like a floor cam shot of just the bow.
I know, right? Crying. Jess.
I miss all those girls so much.
I'm trying to be a single person sometimes, but this is gross. I mean, this has to
This is
be
a good line
months
by
of
the
planning.
I'm a pretty disgusting person sometimes, but this is gross.
Charlie Evans, Jessica Troy, the former Facebook.
Send in the good guys. Send in the good guys. She's so cool. Oh, she's so great. The visual. The visual. Do you miss this?
I just beat the elites. Good thing they're all wearing wrestling gear.
Right?
Oh, it's
They just happen to be, just in case.
Talk about waiting for your cue. Right there,
It's great.
Britt Baker and Nyla
Just
Rose.
death.
Coming out to protect their own.
Zoe just, zoop, I'm out.
Like a true heel. Like a true heel.
There is no love lost between Britt and Nyla and Kylie.
Remember that time Facebook faced off with the Chief Britain?
Right?
Facebook just laying out Brandy Rhodes. Team Blue Nation now breaking down Britt Baker.
This is such a
Here's Zoe
fun
Lucas
time.
powering
Like,
on the outside, of course. She just had a hard fought match, AK. Oh! Oh! Nyla bringing it back. Taking down Charlie.
I love
Evans.
Nyla.
No drop. There are no ropes in this ring. This is going to get really dangerous. A little ghosty, no action. Sling blade.
nice.
No ropes. That's impressive.
And this, actually, because AEW, remember at this time, didn't have TV yet,
Yeah.
this actually set the stage for the women's 3 and then surprise 4-way at Double or Nothing. This was actually, footage of this was using Being the Elite in the Road to Double or Nothing series, and they used footage I think Brandy had ended up having shot on her phone or a camera they bought.
But Nyla is
It's
going
kind of
and Kylie
a fun
Rae.
piece of history that Rise has set the
They've
stage
been
for
signed
the
for a huge
first
match coming
women's
up.
official
That's
women's
right.
match in AEW history.
They came out to protect their own, but it's like, I guess like sisters at this point.
Oh, the build up. Yeah, we had.
Here goes.
Here comes the Untitled Women's division of AEW, who conveniently was on the Rise show. And that's a shoot too. Like these, this isn't just like, oh, they flew in LA and been out. Like no, all these girls were on the show. The only surprises were Britt, Nyla, and Brandy. Everybody else was just happened to be there.
We sent out like the text that day on the night.
Yep. Yeah, they had done a cryptic tweet, but I don't think it really took off that much. There was nothing that was concretely that they were going to be there.
I don't know what
Publicly,
that means, but Zoe Lucas is still a scumbag.
So
But yeah,
Lucas
Zoe's
is
gone, right? She's gone. She's been gone.
This is
So it's for fire or nice. It's great. I love it. Her face. She's like.
Kylie Rae, per usual.
Oh.
Just happy to be here.
A lot happened
Just
in 33
emotionally,
minutes.
right?
A lot happened in 33 minutes. All right, let's come back into the... Thank you, Kylie.
Oh, the tears. That's so awkward.
That was a lot.
It was so much.
We called the audible. We didn't get to La Escalera today, but we can get to it another time.
Yes.
Leave them wanting more.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's wait, what is it? To be continued. I was going to
Yes.
say TBD, not TBC is to be continued.
And
Okay.
let's be real, based on even news that I think has dropped since we've been on this, we're going to need stuff to do.
Yeah,
We're
100%.
going to need stuff to do, but maybe, guys, couple last-minute questions if you got them in the chat. But how awesome was this? Like, do you guys want to see this continue? If you got feedback on the formatting or something, not every time are we going to be able to have the person here in studio. Kylie and I have geography in our corner because it's only like an hour for us to get to one or the other by car. Maybe less because there's not really traffic anymore.
I know, right?
So,
Thank goodness.
yeah. But this is the first of the Rise of series. There are some more other girls who have loosely committed to doing this. We've got to iron out the schedules. Zoe Lucas is shown interest in doing these. Kikio wants to do one. I'm pretty sure Delilah Doom wants to do one. Like I said, I've texted a whole bunch of the girls, but I want to make sure it's somebody that's at least had like 4 matches or more, so we've got a good breadth of content to share with people. So we've got some folks for anywhere from champions and main eventers to girls who really kind of took a chance or maybe took a few seminars to get there. Speaking of that, Lainey Lux one that is probably going to do this very soon. But we've got more on the way.
Very excited. And maybe we could do combo ones.
Yeah.
Combo ones with multiple people. I don't know if that's something.
Well, we could do like
interesting.
face-offs of like, this never happened, right? It was like Kylie versus Lainey, and we actually have both of you.
I know, it would be great. The more the merrier, right?
What are your feelings on sweet pickles?
I saw that when I was trying not to laugh. I was like, wait, don't get distracted. What are my feelings on sweet pickles? I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so cucumbers or pickles, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're pre-pickles.
Pre-pickles. Okay, so I like cucumbers, but for some reason I don't like pickles. I don't know why. Is that like that's a thing?
Like true dill pickles are. You might as well ask me to lick a car tire. Like it's just. I can't do straight. I can do like. Half sours is a thing that some people do where it's like they're not quite all the way pickles, but like straight dill pickles I can't do. If they're like garlic chips where it's like a pickle but it's been soaked in different sauce or brine or stuff. But yeah, just straight up I was that kid where like if a pickle touched my sandwich on a deli plate, I'm like,
I can taste the juices. That's how I'm like I can taste. I don't I'm like no. Let's see.
Somewhere in there I saw how was it seeing your face on billboards in Las Vegas?
It was a one-of-a-kind experience. Like, it was still unreal. Like, my mom was there, too, and she has a picture of, like, her sending me off to the entrance, which, side note, I went through, like, the fan entrance because I didn't realize there was a back entrance. Like, of course, not surprised. They're like, oh, you're not supposed to go this way. And I'm just like, la, la, la. But what also, like, my cousin happened to be in Vegas that weekend just for work, and he like sent me pictures. He's like, "Yo, is this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't."
Are you in Vegas right now?
Right? Like it was just surreal. Like that's all I can explain. It was like obviously once in a lifetime experience, but like, yeah, there are no words. I never thought. Like I said before, there was a time where I never even thought I'd have a match, let alone something like that. So like. Everything that's happened throughout wrestling within these past couple of years is something I could have never even dreamed about. Literally, because this did not exist. But, like, that's, like, I couldn't, I owe so much to wrestling and just the wrestling community in general. And it's, yeah, I have no complaints. It's brought me to where I am today. And it's been amazing. Like, who would have freaking thought? Like, this little old me is just, like, that's wild. I don't know.
Did I ever tell you the story of how I watched Double or Nothing?
No.
So, fun fact. Double or Nothing was picked on literally, like, the one and only day of the entire calendar year 2019 that could have kept me from being in Las Vegas that day. I mean, look at who's in the match. Britt Baker, who's Rise OG, and who I've publicly and privately called my fake kid for a number of years, and she was so important to Rise as a company and me as a person. And then obviously you guys can see, like, we ain't exactly the farthest apart. Like, we're pretty close as friends and stuff outside of the wrestling circle. And knowing it's Britt Baker and Kylie Rae and Nyla Rose, who I was able to actually start a friendship with here at the match we just watched. And then Nyla was part of some later stuff with Rise, and then I've kept in touch with her a ton since this. And then, like, the swerve of an old friend of mine, Awesome Kong, being the surprise. And I legit had no idea Awesome Kong was going to be there. But the only thing that kept me from being there, my cousin Kyle, who was basically, I will call him my brother before my biological sister's my sister. It's just like that cousin that, there was a triad of cousin, basically my best friend, closest family member on the face of the earth, getting married that day. And asked me to officiate the wedding.
Oh, I do remember that. You're really
So I officiate the wedding. We switch out the venue to be in reception mode, and I completely bow out from the wedding party table and go watch Double or Nothing on my phone in the hotel lobby and come back in crying, and nobody has any idea, like, what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
But there's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I'm drunk.
Yeah, right. Allergies.
But you haven't been drinking. Shut up. You are. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I totally snuck out of a wedding. I was the officiant to go watch it on my phone in the hotel lobby in Kalamazoo. Let's see here. Thoughts on your experience at Bound for Glory? Your surprise, I don't think it was called a Rumble entrance. That was fun.
Yes. My thoughts and, what was it? Thoughts and what?
Bound for Glory?
Over the top. Jubilant. That's a word, right? Jubilant. Jubilant.
Yes.
I hope that's what I think it means. That's like excited.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Actually, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have made it throughout the day without this guy right here, because I was just coming back from some, let's say, personal stuff.
Stress ball?
Yes, stress ball was high.
That was the birthplace of stress ball.
Yes, it was in full effect that day. It was mostly fear of the unknown, anxiety, nerves. But everyone was so welcoming. Like, it was just a fun place to be. Like, I have nothing but great things to say about that place. It was just, everyone's so supportive there, and yeah, it was amazing. Like, again, once in a lifetime experience. I couldn't, and being in Chicago as well, of course, and just being able to learn from everyone there, and
everybody from, like, people you're pretty familiar with, like Jimmy's a writer and producer there, but when you look at Gail's essentially God Queen of the Knockouts, and I say that, like, with much love, like, I love Gail in so many ways.
Just a good human being, just such a sweet person. Like, you feel the positivity just beaming off of her, and not to mention she's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Like, yeah, right. Like, not to mention, little side note. So yeah, it was an amazing time, and nothing but love.
When you look at the top of the company, and that in so many wrestling scenarios, it can be really intimidating if somebody who bears the label of executive vice president or chairman of the board or any of these Vince McMahon like labels that you can put out there. But, like, Scott D'Amore is just going to come up to you, and you feel like you're just talking to a guy named Scott. Yes, he is one of the executive vice presidents with Don, but honestly, just checks on you because he cares about you, cares what's going on in the world. Like, that, unless you've been there, it's really hard to explain the difference between the Impact environment and so many other wrestling environments. And that's not saying any other wrestling environments are bad or anything at all, but it's a very special place. I always feel very happy to be the tiny part of the team that I've been when I'm there. And
there's compassion there. It's truly like, and this is speaking of somebody who's very, very awkward and, like, doesn't quite know how to function in social situations. So
I need to go to the bathroom. What do I do?
Yeah, right.
Go sit on the toilet.
Right. Literally, like, I get social anxiety. So just everyone being there, it's, again, compassion and supportive. And yeah, I never once got the feeling of like some places you go to, and again, like, I'm not naming anybody or never any place in specific, but there's places where you can go to, and you, especially never being there before, you can get the fear of, you know, intimidation and not knowing, like, okay, like, I don't know what the protocol is here. I don't know. I've never been here before, so how does it work? But everyone's just so down to earth, and, like, yeah, it's a good, positive environment.
Even down to the most mundane details. And I told myself I would only use one F-bomb if I used it on this one. I'm going to save it for here because we had it that day.
Yeah.
We absolutely had it that day. This is one of the top anxieties that people in wrestling almost never talk about. And when we're talking about first time at a promotion and first time at a venue, in this case, both for you, and I hadn't been around Impact in some time, what fucking door do we go in?
So
there, I saved it. I saved it for
literally, like, and that's how you started off. So, like,
and you're probably carrying, like, at least one roller suitcase, if not, like, you had, I think, at least one roller suitcase, and I forget if you were, like, wearing your more formal or had it in a bag, but it's like,
formal.
But wrestlers usually, especially if it's anything TV, will have at least one suitcase, if not 2 or 3. Now, that was a one-off pay-per-view, so it's not like Moose had his 73 outfits for all of his segments over the course of the taping. But I think I even said that because that was at the Odeum in Chicago. And all we really had to go off of was, well, I won't, maybe that's too inside baseball. I won't tell about how we cracked the code, but we did find it. But as we're driving up, I probably even said, so it was you, me, and was Shotzi almost was in the. We almost had to go save Shotzi. That's what it was.
Which I'm not. Yeah.
We're just like, okay, there's the front door. Probably not the right answer, but yeah, that every building you ever go to, from the smallest VFW, Eagles Club, whatever high school gym, to these arena shows, especially the arena shows. Fucking door do I go in? Like Sears Center at Hoffman, and on top of that, some venues have like lockdown tight security, and Sears Center in Hoffman is like that. Like even with basically having like every formal, I'm with the band lanyard paper and everything, it was still like, but you still have to park a half mile over there and give me a DNA sample. Let's see here. Have you been watching Dynamite? I think I'm gonna get garbled. Did you watch Dynamite probably this week? I think is what that was supposed to be.
I didn't get a chance to watch it last night, but I can't stress enough how happy I am that, like, just all their success, like seeing what it's, and not just for them, for like wrestling overall, like what it's done for everyone. Like there's literally wrestling for everyone, and I'm honestly proud to be able to say that I was a part of a company that cares, and like seeing how much they give back and like the amount of charity work, and just like it's just, yeah, it's amazing. Like I say this all the time, I can't stress that enough, like how grateful I am to be a part of something that was just for the overall good of everyone, because that's really like why we do this, is for the greater good, and you know, to give back and entertain everybody, and like try to just try to make everybody happy, I guess. And I don't know, it might be lame, but
well, you and I talked about this before we actually hit the go live button, and there are just so many silly things that get talked about on the internet in every context. And I don't want to make this a big, let's dive into every rumor, but what I hope people, if there's a soundbite people can take away from this, because this is all Kylie Rae's first public, any media, if you want to call it broadcasting from my basement media.
It counts.
A lot of people don't necessarily know this, but I did like a 3-week, I did a 3-week loop with AEW back in November, their Midwest loop for TV. And in that, I will say that I interacted with probably every major name that was tied to any rumor that you can think of in any capacity. And some of those people I've known for years, some of them I've just met recently, some of them are pretty big stars who I've never met before that moment. And every last one of them asked me one thing, and with genuine concern: how's Kylie? They weren't doing that for show. The people that I've known forever, I know they aren't doing it for show. I'm talking about like executives with that company. I'm talking top stars with that company. I'm not going to name drop and be a douche like that, but about anybody that you could think of that would be tied to any of these negative rumors that got kicked around, they only had one concern. It wasn't, oh, how do we cover our butts? Nothing even remotely like that. They genuinely cared about the human being that's sitting next to me and just wanted me to say, tell her I say hello, tell her I send my love, or any variants of that, were just genuine people giving a crap about somebody in the world. So for a lot of the crap stuff that's out there, we talked about at the top of this like 9 hours ago now, that we didn't want to talk about all the bad things going on in the world, and that was a ridiculous cluster of like rumor bubble and just BS. Clearly, she's okay. Let's see here. Hi, should we bump backs? Is that a thing you can do? I don't know. I don't even know what we can do anymore.
Yeah, we're all work in progress.
Mountain Dew sanitize, but
spread the positivity, not the negativity.
But any company you've ever been part of, I think, cares about you as a person. Clearly, the people love you, because we had like a lot of people. Look how many people are watching just you and me talk. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh!
It actually went up when we stopped playing the matches.
I hope.
Did we just become like the last TV hosts on Earth?
Yeah, right.
Are we crusty with the scorpion and the battery?
It's actually just me, and I have a lot of burner accounts, and I'm just no, I'm just kidding.
This isn't Patreon. What?
I still don't know what that is. I don't get it. I don't want to know. I don't want.
Here's what you need to know about
For a
Patreon.
different day.
It has the okay, you're paying me tier. It has the feet tier. It has the butt tier.
Hey, no judgment. Hey, man, everybody's got their thing. Everyone's got their thing.
You know what? Everybody's got a hustle, man. Some people look at pro wrestling as one of the weirdest hustles in the world, because it is.
Yes, it is, and we love it for it. All right,
we love it.
Thank
we love you. I'm going to say my piece to let the star of this show wrap it up. But guys, thank you for however you've done it, supporting Rise. Check out down at the bottom that PayPal link. We are actually taking that PayPal link and using that to support wrestlers who are in this time of need. Full disclosure, it goes to the Rise account. Yes, it does go into a bank account that I'm the only one that has access to. I'm not running shows right now. I don't need to siphon off that to live, luckily. Yeah. We'll see how the world goes. But essentially, I'm not going to get into the inside track or like I don't want to disclose more than we need to. But if there are people who are part of the Rise family who end up needing a hand, like people are going to have struggles with rent, bills, food, gas. So we're all learning what a new normal is right now. So if you want to donate and if you want to put a note in there, like, make sure it goes to Kylie. Like, I'll make sure it gets to her. Yeah. Believe me, I can PayPal her very well. I've done it many times.
For people in need, honestly, anything, we're just trying to do good. Hopefully you all enjoyed this. If you ever want to see this again, please just ask. If you have requests, right? Do we take requests?
Sure, why
not? Right? Sorry, I'm just going. If you have requests for maybe that would be fun if you have requests for matches as well. So just we're kind of, I reached out to Kevin and said if he needed like a test dummy or anything, just trying to help. So yeah, thank you again. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you, Kevin, for putting this all together, because we wouldn't be here without him. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. Again, if you want to support, then go to donate.
Go to the link, which is right here.
Oh, damn it. I went the wrong way. Damn it. What's going on? Okay.
It's down there somewhere.
Okay. And then just give us some feedback, please. What we could do better, what you liked, what you didn't like. Just give us everything. Give it all. We got it. We can take it. Thank you. Right? Good night.
There we go.